And if there's one group of people who have really suffered under cooperatives are the teachers of Kenya, because they tended to adopt the issue of savings and credit cooperatives early enough. But along the way, they were really mistreated by both the bad laws we were changing yesterday and the officials of the cooperatives who actually used that opportunity to swindle their money. And in the case being so said in Nandi, is replicated in many other places of the small circles that were begun by teachers or based on either county or district, the former districts level. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, what I really pity is the fact that the Petitions Committee has so much load, but these are the places where the Parliament really used to help members of the public. So I want to ask the Petitions Committee to clinically follow that matter and actually bring a report to this House so that the many teachers, and most of them are retired, most of them have either died, can actually either get the refund of what they lost or some reprieve can be given to them. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Petition committed to the Public Petitions Committee to report back in 60 days, excluding the vacation period. Honorable Kitur, what you described also, to me, looks like a criminal fraud. And being a criminal fraud, you may also exercise the option of engaging agencies of criminal justice. Honorable members, before we go to the petition by Brighton Yegon, who has since come in, I'll reorganize the order paper a little so that we do the procedural motion at order number 8. We do first reading 9, 10, and put the question at 11. Then we go back to petition and statements before we come to second reading of 12. Clerk, call out.
Order number 8, procedural motion. Resolution to sit until conclusion of specified business.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I beg to move that pursuant to Standing Order 33A, this House orders that should the time appointed for adjournment of the House be reached before conclusion of the business listed as order numbers 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15 in today's order paper, the sitting shall stand extended until conclusion of the said business. Honorable Speaker, as members are aware, because of the impending recess the day after tomorrow, it's imperative that we complete some of the critical business, and therefore the House Business Committee thought to be wise we have an extended sitting today and probably tomorrow, so that today we are able to conclude up to order number 15 to enable us conclude with this business, especially the very important bills that are listed in those orders this afternoon. And with that, Honorable Speaker, I beg to move and request the Minority Whip, the Honorable Millie Mabona Odhiambo, to second.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I do second, and in seconding, I just wish to say that miracles do happen. Up until recently, we would hardly have any cordial chat with the majority leader. But now I can actually second. But much more so because what is also suggesting is good. Members of Parliament need to do business and finish before we go on recess, especially issues that are pertinent to Kenyans and that touch on their life. I do second. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Millie, Shakespeare described politics as the art of the impossible. It's the art of the impossible. Honorable members, I now propose the question that pursuant to Standing Order 33A, this House orders that should the time appointed for adjournment of the House be reached before conclusion of business listed as orders number 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15 today's order paper, the sitting shall stand extended until conclusion of the said business. We put the question. Honorable members, I now put the question at order number 8, which is that, pursuant to Standing Order 33A, this House orders that should the time appointed for adjournment of the House be reached before conclusion of business listed as orders number 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15 in today's order paper, the sitting shall stand extended until conclusion of the said business. As members of that opinion say aye. Aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next.
Order number 9, the Metrology Bill, Senate Bill number 45 of 2023, first reading. A bill for an act of parliament to provide for the establishment of the Kenya Meteorological Service Authority, regulation, coordination, monitoring, management, provision, and control of meteorological services, and for connected purposes.
Next order.
Order number 10, the Election Offences Amendment number 2 Bill, Senate Bill number 28 of 2024, first reading. A bill for an act of parliament to amend the Election Offences Act. Order number 11, the Tax Procedures Amendment number 2 Bill, National Assembly Bill number 46 of 2024, second reading, question to be put.
Order, honorable members. Those on their feet, take your seats. Member for Naivasha, take the nearest seat and leave the clerk alone. Order, Honorable Chepkonga, take the nearest seat. Kwame, take the seat. Honorable members, I now put the question at order number 11, that the Tax Procedures Amendment number 2 Bill, National Assembly Bill number 46 of 2024, be now read a second time. As members of that opinion say aye. Aye. Those of the contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. Before we go to...
A bill for an act of parliament to amend the Tax Procedures Act and for connected purposes.
Thank you. Clerk, I've been requested by the Honorable Murugara, George Best, to allow him to lay his papers at order number 5 so that he can go and preside over another committee meeting. And so George Murugara, lay your paper and give notice of the motion.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, allow me to lay the following paper on the table of the House today, Tuesday, 3rd December 2024. A report of the Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs on the vetting of a nominee for the appointment as Secretary/Chief Executive Officer of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And I
go ahead and then give notice of motion.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to give notice of the following motion. That taking into consideration the findings of the Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs in its report on the vetting of a nominee for appointment as the Secretary/Chief Executive Officer of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission laid on the table of the House today, Tuesday, 3rd December 2024, and pursuant to the provisions of Article 250(12) of the Constitution and Section 16(1) of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission Act, Chapter 7H, as read together with the Sections 3 and 8 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act, Cap 7F. This House approves Mr. Abdi Ahmed Mohamud, MBS, for the appointment as the Secretary stroke Chief Executive Officer of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable George Murugara. We now go back to petitions. Brighton Yagon.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I want to...
Brighton, you came late. This is the second bite I'm giving you, so the least you do is to apologize to the House for coming late.
I was going there, Mr. Speaker.
Okay.
I want to apologize for coming late. And Mr. Speaker, I'm reading a public petition, number 18 of 2024, regarding farmers' hydropower generation by Kenya Tea Development Authority. I, the undersigned, on behalf of smallholder tea farmers, draw the attention of the House to the following. Number one, that the Kenya Tea Development Agency, as the managing agent for smallholder tea farmers, undertook to initiate projects on behalf of smallholder tea farmers in generating power through hydropower. Number two, that more than 3 billion have been deducted from smallholder tea farmers since 2014, and in particular, those from Bomet County and other surrounding counties in the west of Rift. Number three, that the proposed hydropower projects were projected to provide substantial returns, which would have directly benefited farmers by lowering energy expenses in the tea factories, therefore lowering cost of production and potentially increasing profit. Number four, that since inception of the projects in 2014, more than 10 years after the initial contribution, not a single hydropower project has been completed, and farmers have been left in uncertainty and frustration due to lack of progress in the said projects. Number five, that the expected benefits such as reduced energy cost and increased income have not materialized, leaving farmers in financial distress. Number six, that lack of detailed reporting and progress updates on the projects allegedly suggests possible financial mismanagement. And number seven, that the matter presented in this petition is not pending before any tribunal, court of law, or any constitutional or legal body. And therefore, your humble petitioner prays that the National Assembly, through the Public Petitions Committee, number one, engages the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock, Energy, and other relevant authorities with a view of investigating the alleged financial management in regards to generating power by KTDA on behalf of smallholder tea farmers in Bomet County and other surrounding counties in the west of Rift. Number two, make recommendation compelling KTDA to provide a detailed report within 30 days on the status of hydropower projects, including how the funds were invested and the reasons for inordinate delay of the projects. And number three, recommends the due compensation of smallholder tea farmers in the affected region, where more than 3 billion have been deducted since 2014. And finally, make any other necessary recommendation the committee deems fit to address the issue raised in this petition. And your petitioners will ever pray. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Petition committed to Committee on Public Petitions. Report back in 60 days, excluding the long recess days. Honorable members, order. Honorable members, I wish to bring to your attention, especially constituents-based members, that I received a letter this morning from the Minister for Finance, the CS for Finance, FCPA John Mbadi Ngongo, on CDF to the effect that by Thursday, day after tomorrow, 5th December 2024, he will disburse to CDF 5 billion Kenya shillings, and thereafter he will disburse 7 billion every month until he concludes in June. So he says Thursday this week, 5 billion, from January, February, March, April, May, June, 7 billion every month. Thank you. Yes, Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for that communication, and indeed to confirm to the House that the CS National Treasury has confirmed, besides the 5 billion, at the end of this month, he will disburse another 7 billion to ensure that we have adequate resources, especially for disbursement of bursaries at the beginning of January, when our children are going back to school. And therefore, to urge members, even as we go for the long recess, those who have not submitted their proposals to the National Board, I think the Chair, NGCDF, I see Tandaza, the Vice Chair, is here. There are a number of constituents that are yet to submit their proposals. Please push your committees. Only 90 constituency CDF committees have submitted their proposals to the board, and you will not be able to access the money until and unless your NGCDF committees remit their proposals. So, as the people oversight in those NGCDF committees, as we go on recess, please push them to submit their proposals. I think the deadline was on 6th of December, which is the day after, is a Friday. Before you join the Speaker on the noon train, SGR train to Mombasa, make sure your NGCDF fund manager and your chair have submitted the proposals to the board, and by 11 a.m. be at the SGR station on Mombasa Road for the train with the Speaker to Mombasa for the Yala Games. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. The letter also says, Majority Leader, that all the arrears for 2023-24 have been disbursed and cleared. So the long recess is awaiting you to go and work for the people who elected you. Thank you. Next. Yes, Oundo, on the same issue?
Related issue.
Yes.
Since you are magnanimous enough to intercede for the people of Kenya, and may the Almighty Lord bless you abundantly and fill your compound with bouncing castles or whatever you call them. Honorable Speaker, we have this unfinished business of roads maintenance levy fund. I know it might be being part of the ongoing mediation committee, but probably as you have interceded, is it possible you can also intercede on this matter? In the same vein, Honorable Speaker, we have constituencies, CRCs, have arrears for the last financial year. We have unremitted savings from the last financial year. Now with the rains devastating rural constituencies, our roads are becoming impassable. Is it again you can place your good word, your strong position, so that they could kindly look safely at the people of Kenya? We ensure that the roads remain passable during this bad, heavy rains period. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Oundo. I will promise to do the same. Rindikiri, on the same?
You know, I want to thank the CS, but I have a question. Right now, I have connected my fund manager with the vice chair, and the vice chair is telling me that all the money for last financial year have been disbursed, and my fund manager is saying no. I don't know who to believe.
Order, Honorable Rindikiri. Your fund manager is not a yardstick for measuring what is going on. Certainly not. He's one fund manager in 290 constituencies. So just ask him to go and check with Mr. Mbuno, your manager at CDF. John Badi is a former member of this house. John Badi is a respectable CS. John Badi walked to the Speaker's office to relay this message and deliver the letter himself. He can't have done that if it was not based on fact. I'll give him the benefit of any doubt, And I will encourage you, Honorable Indikiri, because you are a very strict man. Tell your fund manager to do the needful by traveling to the headquarters to check why the disbursement has not come. You remember you are told some of the returns you file are incorrect or inaccurate, and they lead to delays in disbursing the funds. Yes, Tandaza?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. It is possible that some members have not received all the disbursement for genuine reasons. For example, if up to now, in one's constituents, there are some projects which are yet to be approved, the board does not disburse monies when the projects have not been approved. It is clear the board has received all the monies, but to some constituencies, they have not received. There are others who have asked for reallocation, and there is some documentation which the board will require when you are to do reallocation. For those reasons, it is possible, but for all constituencies where the projects have been approved with no other issues, they have received 100% of their monies. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
And order in the honorable members, when I used to be a constituent MP, I never left it to my fund manager to run the mill from A to Z. He sends the documents of approval, I follow up myself. One, to ensure that I'm satisfied the documentation is correct. And two, to ensure that they have been delivered. Three, to ensure they have been acted upon. And four, to ensure the funds have been remitted back to the account. That is not too much to ask of a responsible member of a constituency. Yes, Rendikiri.
As you said, I'm very strict on the work of my fund manager. And I have never doubted her. And that's why I said, let them speak, the vice chair. And she has confirmed that we have no outstanding approvals. Everything is done, everything is and it has been always like that. So, strictly speaking, we are not following the category of unapproved or outstanding documentation. And they have spoken. He is not denying that.
Order, Tandaza, is not a matter between you and Rendikiri. Yes, Mulu?
Honorable Speaker, actually the 5 million you mentioned, the 5 billion you mentioned, that's part of the arrears. So I think what the minister is saying is that by releasing the 5 billion, he'll have cleared 100%. Because of my own constituency, I have nothing pending, but I still owe the board 15 million. So, Honorable Speaker, that is the situation. Let the board.
The bottom line, Honorable Makali Mulu, is that money is being disbursed. Go and work. Yes. Next order.
Order number 5, papers.
Majority Leader.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House today, Tuesday, December 3rd, 2024, afternoon sitting. 1. Reports of the Auditor General and financial statements for the years ended 30th June 2021, 30th June 2022, and 30th June 2023, and the certificates therein in respect of the following: Moi Girls Senior Secondary, Salvation Army Mayani Secondary School, Lamu Girls Secondary School, St. Bakita Siakago Girls High School, Moi High School Mbiruri, St. Monica Girls Mulutu Secondary, Mbita High School, St. Anne's Mudhale Girls Secondary School, Mary Hill Girls High School, Utumishi Girls Academy, Sacred Heart Mukumu Girls High School, Analat Secondary School, and Kibiko Secondary School. 2. Reports of the Auditor General and financial statements for the years ended 30th June 2024, and the certificates therein in respect of the following: State Department for Parliamentary Affairs, the Kenya Local Loan Support Fund, Kenya Citizens and Foreign Nationals, Honorable Speaker, I pose to allow the member for Langata
Order.
and the member for Gem. I don't know, they are conversing and laughing.
And the member kneeling on Carolo Mondi's seat, Mohamed Ado. That is not how you should be in the chamber.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. C is the Kenya Citizens and Foreign Nationals Management Service. D, Global Fund Tuberculosis Grant Credit number KEN TNT 2067 from the Ministry of Health. E, Eastern Africa Regional Transport Trade and Development Facilitation Project IDA credit number 5638-KE. F, Bura Rehabilitation Development Project loan numbers Badea 331, Kuwait 752, OPEC 1154P from the National Irrigation Authority. G is COVID-19 Health Emergency Response Project grant number 6598-KE from the Ministry of Health. H is Witness Protection Agency. I, Northern Corridor Transport Improvement Project, IDA credit number 3930 and number 4571-KE from the Kenya National Highways Authority. And lastly, the Mombasa Special Economic Zone Development Project, Kenya National Highways Authority. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Majority Leader. Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Sports and Culture. Wanyama.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House today, Tuesday, 3rd December 2024. Reports of the Departmental Committee on Sports and Culture on its consideration of 1. Senate Amendment to the Gambling Control Bill, National Assembly Bill number 70 of 2023, and the Culture Bill, National Assembly Bill number 12 of 2024. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning. Ambassador Benja. Honorable Langat, you don't have your papers? We'll allow you to table anytime you're ready. JLAC we have dealt with. Next order. Order number 6 we have dealt with. Go to order number 7.
Order number 7, questions and statements.
Let me finish first. Honorable members, before we call out statements as listed, allow me to acknowledge in the public gallery a group known as Blessed Veteran Self-Help Group from Runyenjes, Embu. Honorable Karemba has asked me to give him 1 minute to welcome them to the House. Give Karemba the mic.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to welcome the blessed and the veterans into this House. Honorable Speaker, these are the people who have given me an opportunity to serve in this House, to represent them. And I am very happy and particularly excited because among them I can see my former primary school head teacher and my standard 5 class teacher. Honorable Speaker.
Very good.
And also finally, Honorable Speaker, I wish to assure them that I'll continue serving them diligently as I have been doing. And I am particularly happy because the things that have been said here while they were sitting there are matters that concern them, and they have really been following up on those issues. So they are happy that those things are being discussed here. So thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, and on my behalf and on behalf of the House, I welcome the Blessed Veteran Self-Help Group to the House of Parliament. Thank you. We now go to statements. Omboko Milemba, MP Mhaya. You look bewildered. You look bewildered. You are listed as
I'm always okay.
requesting for a statement.
Honorable Speaker, I'm not bewildered.
Yes.
I'm steady and very much okay. I think I'm supposed to get replies from my chair.
Is this for reply? Yes. Oh, yes. You are right, Omboko. Tongoyo.
Yes,
you are ready?
Speaker, I am.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And this is in response to my very good neighbor here, MP for Emuhaya, regarding a statement he sought regarding the sporadic attacks in Emuhaya constituency. And in particular, the Member of Parliament wanted to know the status report of investigation into the killing of one Nicodemus Alijo. May his soul rest in peace, from a Sabia village in Emuhaya constituency, which was reported in Mbali police station under OB number 230210-2024. And if any arrest has been made, and the measures put in place by the government to ensure deployment of additional officers to the police station. Honorable Speaker, I want to state as follows. On the 2nd October, the Assistant Chief of a sub-location in Dongay location, Mr. Wycliffe Mandu, reported that he received information from members of the public that they had a gunshot at Mundila village. The police officers rushed to the scene where they found the body of the deceased lying on a feeder road with a gunshot wound. It was established that the deceased was a border rider carrying two passengers from Lunda town. However, the passengers turned against him, shot him, and disappeared with his motorcycle. 4 spent cartridges and 1 live round of 9 ml was recovered at the scene, and the case is pending under investigation by the SCCIO Emuhaya. The theft of the motorbike registration number KMGL 606Q MQKE Boxer was circulated to all police stations within the country, and a spent cartridge which were recovered from the scene has been forwarded to the forensic lab for further analysis to assist in investigation. To this end, by the time of writing this response, Honorable Speaker, there is no reported arrest made, but the case is pending under investigation through CR number CR948/138 of 2024. On the measures that the government put in place, in the last 6 months, a total of 25 officers has been deployed to Emuhaya constituency. However, the National Police Service will continue monitoring the situation and will take any other measures if need arises. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and signed by Dr. Raymond Omolo.
Thank you, Omboko Melemba. Are you satisfied?
No, not satisfied. My able neighbor, good neighbor, and able chairman for internal security has given a very slim statement about a family and a person who was killed by unknown people, and has not even indicated if there are any hopes that the person who killed or the people who killed that particular person will be found, and are stopped there. But Honorable Speaker, and to my chair, it should go on record that Emuhaya and Luanda, which are neighbored, and they border in Luanda town, in the last 2 months or so, we have lost more than 19 people. And Honorable Speaker, I would want the chair to listen to this, because I know it's a matter that is really affecting the people of Bunyore. I wish Honorable Maungu was here. And 19 people, Honorable Speaker, have been killed in a period of 2 months. And even after the losing of this particular one, I sought a statement. It should go on record that I've been here severally doing similar statements with just the same answer. And even after the death of this one, 2 other people, Honorable Speaker, protect me from this team here.
Order, Honorable.
There's a team here, Honorable
Kawaya.
Speaker. Thank you.
Honorable Ngokoyo, that is normally not a place where you sit. So don't cause any disorder.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Be a good guest.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. That even after the death of this particular one, another person was butchered around the same place at a shopping center, where thugs just attacked the person and waylaid him, killed him brutally like an animal. After 3 days since this particular one, a trader, one of the most important traders in Luanda, by the name of Philip Ateka, was equally shot when he was entering his compound. And yet, in the same place, another person called Bam Bam, popularly known as Bam Bam, was also killed. So the deaths in Bunyore, let me now use the general area, the Luanda market, Muhaya, really need attention for the chairman. I would be really seeking that the chairman goes back and talks to the security agencies so that, one, we can have all the police stations that we build using the money, so said here, of CDF at Ipali, at Buhaya, at Murembe, to be given security officers. He says 25 of them have been sent. But, Honorable Speaker, we have 5 police posts that have no officers. Number 2, Honorable Speaker, we have a major police station built at Hobuyaya in Emusire, which the security officers are not willing to go and occupy, despite the fact that when visited by both CDF and other people from Nairobi, the national office said that it was one of the best in Kenya. And they would prefer to stick at Mbali police station, which is a small area and far away from the center of that particular sub-county. Honorable Speaker, we don't have the police officers he's speaking about. And insecurity is really very, very high. I talked to one of the sub-county or county officers, I'm winding up, who said that the problem is cultural. That was an insulting answer from an officer of that status. Honorable Speaker, I'm not satisfied, and I would wish the chair goes back and brings a serious answer, including why the rest of the people, 19 people, have been killed in that area. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Yes.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I really feel the concern of the member. And it's very unfortunate that there has been more cases, reported cases of death, even after this statement was written. Honorable Speaker, I think the statement was very clear. There is an additional officers, and of course the National Police Service will add if need be. And you know, we sit together, and actually, besides even the written statement and response, we had actually discussed with the member, and there is a possibility, a suggestion, that a possibility even of deployment and change of the security officers, and I had actually committed that I will also raise the same concern to the IG, if that may help, behind the issue of adding the police station, the police officers to the police station, which are understaffed.
Milemba.
1 minute. I want to put it and let it go on record, and very softly, that unless action is taken in Luanda town, we shall continue losing many people. We have lost 19 people in 2 months, and the series is ongoing. Honorable Speaker, I want your word on this,
yes,
so that a special attention is given to Luanda.
19 people in a small market like Luanda is something worth you're worrying about. So what are you doing about it?
Honorable Speaker, I'd say that I'll raise the issue.
And from what your colleague is saying, these are not just soft murder, brutal murders.
Yeah. I'm saying, Honorable Speaker, it's very regrettable. And you know, besides even this one, I think we had been really having a spike about insecurity in the country, Luanda being included. So, Honorable Speaker, besides this statement, I'd also committed to see the IG with a concerned member with a possibility of a shift, a quick intervention to include deployment of the officers, additional to the 25 already deployed to the sub-county.
Go ahead and do so.
Yeah.
Response to a statement by the Chair, Departmental Committee on Blue Economy and Irrigation, requested by Gideon Mulyungi. Is Gideon in the House? Yes. Go ahead, Bowen.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I have a response from the Cabinet Secretary of Water, Sanitation and Irrigation in regard to a question or the Honorable Mulungi on utilization of funds allocated for the sinking of 2 boreholes in Mwingi Central constituency. Honorable Speaker, I refer to your letter dated 6th of November 2024, and water has remained a critical need for Mwingi Central, just like any other water deficient constituency in Kenya, in arid and semi-arid belt. The different natural resource, endowment and economic opportunities in the dry lands and the rising population have made the constituencies have different priorities when determining where and how to fix our water challenges. Mwingi Central preliminary depends on Kiambere Dam, water supply, boreholes, shallow wells, water pans, and small heart dams, which are not sufficient to meet increasing demand for the commodities in the area. This against this background that the Ministry of Water, Sanitation and Irrigation through the Tanathi Water Works Development Agency has drilled Kavoko Primary School and Kalesi Primary Schools boreholes and currently awaiting the second phase of disbursement for the equipping of the 2 boreholes. Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Dr. Gideon Mulungi, the Member of Parliament for Mwingi Central constituency, requested for a statement from the Departmental Committee of Blue Economy, Water and Irrigation regarding the utilization of funds, allocation of sinking of 2 boreholes in Mwingi Central constituency. And in the statement, the Member of Parliament sought a clarification of the following issues. 1, why the implementation of the project was started without the public participation of the local stakeholders, residents who had in the first place requested for the project. Number 2, why construction of the boreholes was halted before the completion despite the full funding having been allocated by the Parliament and released for the purpose by the National Treasury. And number 3, when and how the boreholes were procured, the details of the contractors awarded tenders, the contract sums, and the scope of the contract. And number 4, when will the exercise be completed and whether this could be expedited to alleviate the challenges of accessing water in the area residents. Mr. Speaker, I wish to submit as follows. The response requested for the statement by Honorable Mulungi, why the implementation of the projects was started without the public participation of the local stakeholders and area residents who are the first place requested the project. Honorable Speaker, the 2 boreholes sites were identified by the local leaders who indicated that 2 are very needy institutions in the communities. The Dana Water Works Development Agency, on behalf of the Ministry of Water, Sanitation and Irrigation, had carried out an initial public participation for the drilling of the boreholes during the hydrological survey investigation. Kalesi public participation was conducted on 23rd August 2024 before drilling commences on 26th August 2024. And Gavogo borehole initial public participation was held on 29th August 2024 before the drilling commenced on 1st September 2024. Further, the Danahati Water Works Development Agency did a public participation in consultation for the equipping of Kavoko and Kalesi boreholes on 14 October 2024 and 3rd October 2024 respectively. The agency has planned to carry out 2 more public participation forums once the final tranche of the funds are released for equipping of the boreholes. Question number 2, why the construction of the 2 boreholes were halted before the completion despite the full funding from the Treasury. The Honorable Speaker, it is true that the Kavoko and the Kalesi boreholes have been allocated 10 million each, totaling to 20 million. But to date, the funds released by the National Treasury to Tanatu Water Works Development Agency through the State Department of Water and Sanitation is 2.5 million each, by borehole making it 5 million. Although the funds were not enough to drill the 2 boreholes, alone without the equipping, the agents proactively have already drilled the 2 boreholes with additional funding from savings realized from other projects within the program. Currently, the agents have started the technical designs for equipping and pipeline extension, after which the process of procuring the contractors to equip the 2 boreholes will commence immediately the funds are dispersed. Once the contractors are been procured, the agents will kickstart the further public participation before equipping the boreholes. On question number 3, Honorable Speaker, the drilling contracts for the Kavogo primary school boreholes was awarded to Rachan Limited BO Box 985 Kitui on 25th July 2024, and drilling commenced on 1st September 2024, completed on 5th September 2024 at a contract sum of 3,550,596. The borehole yields about 15 cubic meters of water per hour. The drilling of contract for Kalesi Primary School was awarded to Retoki Limited of Biobox 385 Kitui on 25th July 2024. The drilling commenced on 26 August 2024 and completed on 31st August 2024. The contract sum of the contract sum is 3,883,174. The borehole yields about 3.5 cubic meters of water per hour. The scope of works for each contract involved the drilling, the casing, the gravel packing, the flushing development, and the 24-hour pumping of the 2 boreholes.
Yes, Baboyo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise on the Speaker's rule number 9. Mr. Speaker, earlier on you read a very comprehensive ruling on how members should dress in this House.
Yes.
Honorable Bashir, Mr. Speaker, is not dressed in accordance to Speaker's rule number 9. And Mr. Speaker, in your ruling that you delivered last year, I think it was number 82, you described the manner in which a member should appear in this House. And the Honorable Bashir is even a vice chair of a committee, part of the leadership. And Mr. Speaker, he does not have a tie. He's not dressed in accordance to your guidance. A very comprehensive ruling, Mr. Speaker, that you issued for almost 1 hour in this House. So, Mr. Speaker, I seek your guidance because he's the chair of a very powerful group that I belong.
You let Bowen finish first. Thank you for bringing that to my attention.
Mr. Speaker, the process of procurement of the 2 boreholes was a through restricted tendering method, which involves the issuing of bids to registered pre-qualified contractors in our database. The last one, Mr. Speaker, the last question, the technical designs for equipping and laying of pipes, construction of water kiosks, and installation of water tanks in Kavogo Primary School borehole and Kalesi Primary School boreholes are ongoing, and the procurement process for equipping will commence immediately. The remaining funds amounting to 15 million are dispersed and the technical designs are completed. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Bowen. Mulungi.
Mr. Speaker, I'm not satisfied with that answer because the chairman has been given wrong information by the agency. The information he has read is not factual, and that is why I raised this issue. The process is very suspicious. Mr. Speaker, this is a house of records. And Mr. Speaker, the chairman has read a statement which lies that public participation was done. And the reason why I raised this matter is because members of the public came to me complaining that there is a project being done without their knowledge. And it is only after that that public participation was done after the drilling was completed. Mr. Speaker, if the chairman is convinced that public participation was done before drilling of the boreholes, let him provide a list of the attendees, signed list of the attendees who participated in the public participation. Mr. Speaker, I also want to know why only 5 million was dispersed out of a budget of 20 million, considering this was a public participation budget, which is never touched. Mr. Speaker, on issue number 3, I also want to know why only contractors from very far were shortlisted to tender, sidelining local contractors who had capacity to do that work.
Thank you.
And finally, Mr. Speaker,
you are supposed to seek clarification. You are now debating.
Mr. Speaker, I also want to know when the balance of 15 million will be dispersed, considering the financial year has ended.
Bowen.
Mr. Speaker, starting with the disbursement of finances. Mr. Speaker, budget is a projections. All budgets are projections. And in Treasury, even Treasury, when they are giving budgets to this House, they normally project that maybe they are going to collect this amount of money. And that is why sometimes if they don't hit at that target, Mr. Speaker, we normally see the budget cuts in this House. So for now, the money which has dispersed into those 2 projects are 5 million, Mr. Speaker. And I want to promise the honorable member that the remaining amounts I'm going to follow up in the next supplementary budget to make sure that the 2 boreholes are completed. On the issue of the contractors, Honorable Speaker, Mr. Speaker, sometimes in projects which are of these amounts, if those the pre-qualified contractors, Mr. Speaker, those who meet the qualifications, they are normally considered, all of them. So it doesn't matter whether they are from local or from far. If there is a contractor who is qualified and is from far, it doesn't necessarily that should be around there. On the public participation, Mr. Speaker, it's very clear in this report, Mr. Speaker, that there was a public participation which was conducted by the Tana at the Water Works Development Agency, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, given that this report was signed by the Cabinet Secretary himself, the engineer Muka, Mr. Speaker, allow me to follow up with the CS and ask the Tana at the Water Works Development Agency to bring me or to give to the member the public participation day and who are the participants together with the signatures, Honorable Speaker. I submit.
Thank you. Response to a statement by Honorable Marian Kitani, MP Aldai. Yes, Nabwin. Akuja. Is that Honorable Akuja? Namwar, sorry.
Honorable Speaker, thank you.
What?
Offer to the chair for, I don't know if he's listening.
What do you want to tell
Honorable Bowen, the chair for Blue Economy, Water and Irrigation.
Wants your attention.
Honorable Chair, here on 13th of August at 2:30, I raised a statement regarding incomplete projects in Turkana Central by National Water Harvesting and Storage Authority. It is now 4 months down the line. I have asked the chair what is going on. Up to now, there is no response.
Chair,
Speaker, I will request your direction on the same.
Honorable Bowen, Chairman.
Mr. Speaker, it is true that the honorable member requested for a statement about status of projects in Turkana County. And I remember, Mr. Speaker, at that time, many members also raised the same. There were so many incomplete projects in many constituencies. And Mr. Speaker, when we engaged the ministry and the CS, they requested for more time to compile a more comprehensive report, not only in Turkana County, but also across the country, because it is a problem across the country. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to ask my good friend Akuja that let me engage again with the ministry, because they were saying they want to do an entire comprehensive report.
When can you bring a response?
Allow me, Mr. Speaker.
This Thursday?
This Thursday.
Brothers?
Yes.
Thursday? Thank you. Marian Kaitanyi statement. Tongoyo?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
You have the response?
Yeah, I do. In
Order, honorable ladies, the gracious ladies at the back.
Honorable
Please,
Speaker,
you are disrupting the proceedings.
In response to the statement sought by the member of our Aldai constituency, Honorable Marian Ketan, concerning insecurity in our constituency and with alleged caused by change of security personnel, I want to respond as follows. Honorable Speaker, and on 1st November 2024, at about 3 p.m., Mr. Elkanah Kiblangan Mugun, a businessman at Kaptum, was attacked and killed at his gate while returning home. The victim's body was bundled in his motor vehicle, registration number KWE 383, a pigeon, a saloon, and dumped at Kaiboni location, approximately 7 kilometers from the Kaptumo. Investigation, Honorable Speaker, Wakili, Honorable Speaker, it's much noise.
Order, honorable members, order. Wamshomba. That Kamkunji is illegal.
Honorable
Order.
Speaker.
Even the members next to Tongoyo. Is that Wakili Mureu?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, investigation commenced VAD CR 772 453 of 224, and 14 suspects, Honorable Speaker, were arrested in connection to the murder. They were subsequently taken to court under miscellaneous application, and a custodial order of 14 days pending further investigation was obtained. On 5th November, the main suspect, Ismail Kipngetich Kemboi, was traced and arrested at Sirisia area in Bungoma County. On 8th November, he was arraigned before court through a miscellaneous application number E095 of 2024, and subsequently a custodial order of 14 days pending further investigation were obtained. The suspects were all placed under investigation by the DCI in Nandi South and Sub-County, and will be arraigned in court for a plea taking once investigations are complete. The body of Ms. Felista Chelimo was discovered lying on the road at Kundos area of Kuyo village along Kuboi, Kaptumo Road on 13th November 2024, and about 3 p.m. The body had fresh injuries occasioned by a traffic accident, that is traffic road accident. On the following day, the motor vehicle that caused the accident, registration number KNW 368M, a Toyota Premium, was found and taken to Nandi Hills Traffic Police Station. Traffic Department is handling the matter via inquiry number IAR F3 of 2024. On the second question, Honorable Speaker, on the action being taken, investigation were conducted and 15 suspects were arrested in connection to the murder of Elkanah Kiplangat Mugun and arraigned in court. And I mentioned earlier that in the inquest file has been opened to determine the culpability of the driver of the motor vehicle involved in the hit and run accident. Honorable Speaker, and the measures being investigation into the recent spate of stock theft cases involving 30 kettles are ongoing, and the following suspects were arrested in the month of October in connection to the cases: Lucy Chalagat, Christopher Maiyo Kipkemoi, Elizabeth Kibet, and the following are some of the measures: the increased police patrols, revitalized community policing initiative, the arrest and prosecution of perpetrators and offenders, and arresting and prosecuting persons suspected of inciting or participating in violence or aiding the stock theft, thus deterring future conflicts or stock theft. Concerning the last concern, whether there is a correlation between the rise in insecurity and the transfer of the security personnel in the area in the sub-county, Honorable Speaker, I want to state as follows. Deployments are ongoing activities within the police service. That is a human resource duty. And the government is not aware that the recent changes in the security personnel at the sub-county level as in any way as a correlation with the increase in the insecurity in the area. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Now, I have listened to the statement, and the issues that I raised, Honorable Speaker, are actually getting worse. One of the issues I had said was the transfer of officers in my constituency has created insecurity. What happened, Honorable Speaker, is that all the officers, OCPDs and OCSs, all of them in my constituency, the ACC and the DCCs, all of them were transferred at the same time. And new officers were brought in. From that time, Honorable Speaker, a week later, the death that I have mentioned happened. And as we speak today, in the last 1 month, 3 bodies have been discovered. And those 3 bodies are members of my constituency in one ward called Terik Ward. This is a ward that is near Kisumu County, and it also borders the western Vihiga County. So 3 bodies in the last 1 month. And I think following up on the issues that are coming up on these bodies, the officers, the DCI, the OCPD, the OCSS, they are unable to give a track of what is happening. One of the issues they have raised is that the OCPD is complaining about laxity of his officers, because some of his officers are found drunk at work. Some of the officers are not on duty. So there is a lot of laxity now in the security situation in my constituency. So as much as the ministry is saying that these transfers have not affected operations, it is far from the truth. The truth is that I am getting more bodies. This was unheard of until these transfers happened, Honorable Speaker. On the second issue of the investigation of the death of Elkanah Mugun, also known as Simba, yes, I am aware that investigations are ongoing, and the 14 suspects that have been arrested were released because the 14-day custody lapsed. And that, Honorable Speaker, gave a lot of tension in the constituency because the residents wanted to go back on the streets to demonstrate, and we had to cool tension and tell them that investigations are still going on. As we speak today, the family members are saying even the forensic sample report has not come out. That is 1.5 months since the death happened and since investigations happened. So I don't know for how long this investigation will happen. Even one simple report of a sample, a forensic report coming out to at least try and unravel these deaths. So, Honorable Speaker, as we speak right now, my security situation in my constituency is deteriorating. And secondly, this investigation is moving at a far slower pace, if at all it is actually going on as the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Internal Security is saying. And for me, I still feel that this particular matter, and especially so on my security situation, I need us to, if they can, instead of just a statement, if we could actually have a session as they have their departmental sessions or with the ministry, so that I can allay and raise these issues. I never used to have these issues. Now that is a problem.
Thank you. Tongoyo.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. As much as I agree with him, she has a right. I think 14 suspect is not is a trial, actually, that the police have arrested 14. Honorable Speaker, it's good to appreciate that it's a constitutional right of any suspect to get released on bond. And that is exactly what had happened. On the issue of the security personnel being transferred.
Are they out on bond or they were released without
No, on bond.
charge?
Sorry?
They are on police bond
Yes.
or court bail?
They are court bail, actually. Yeah, that is what is the report that I got.
Go on.
Which I think is it is the constitutional right. Honorable Speaker, on the issue of the security officers, in fact, I think is the issue that the Member of Parliament has been really talking about. She has been on several, even in Barasa, talking about a possibility of her being undermined. But I do believe that our police officers are professional. They're supposed to work and efficiently wherever they are being deployed to. And I remember even we ever talked, you had even some issues with some GAO officers, which even some were reinstated and brought back to the sub-county. So I think that is a little bit a more administrative issue, not much of a security. And Honorable Speaker, if you so guide, I know we are needing for recess. Maybe if the member feel that he can able to prosecute it better appearing before the committee, maybe we can plan that as soon as we resume.
But if what she says is true, isn't it unusual that you just wake up and transfer all officers from one place? Where is continuity? Tongoyo.
Honorable Speaker, it's true. She knows. I personally raised this issue with the DIG, concerned with the KPS. And we had really conversed at length with her.
Okay.
And maybe you can allow me to keep engaging and see what we can do.
Follow it up, keep engaging. Yes,
Mr. Speaker, I raised last week to give a statement on EPZ workers, and I was promised by the Deputy Speaker, who was then on the chair, that my matter will be prosecuted this week. I don't know whether it is actually included among those which are there.
Which committee of trade?
This is a committee on labor.
On labor. That is
Karemba, and I saw him leaving the chambers.
He went to talk to some special veterans. We will, clerk, can you look up Mwinyi's statement and list it for tomorrow if they are ready? We'll see if it can be brought up tomorrow afternoon.
No problem, Mr.
Thank
Speaker.
you.
Thank you.
Tende Mwale. Tongo, do you have a response to Tindi Mwale's statement? Tindi Mwale is not here, so statement stayed. Chair Social Protection, Alice, are you ready with the response to Protas Akuja?
Yes.
You are?
Yes.
Is the Honorable Akuja? Yes. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I wish to respond to a request for statement made by member for Roima constituency, Honorable Protas Akuja, MP, regarding disbursement of the Presidential Secondary School bursary. In his statement, the Honorable member sought feedback on the following three areas. What are the reasons for lack of disbursement of the full amount of Presidential Secondary School bursary to constituencies in the last 2 financial years? What are the plans that have been put in place to ensure timely disbursement of all appropriated Presidential Secondary School bursary fund for the previous and current financial year? 3, what measures has the ministry put in place to guarantee that in future, Presidential Secondary School bursary funds are released as located in the budget and disbursed in a timely manner? With regard to the first inquiry, Honorable Speaker, I wish to respond that the reason for lack of complete disbursement of the Presidential Secondary School bursary fund for 2023 and 2024 financial year were due to low allocation of funds, and lack of exchequer release, which consequently meant that constituencies were not financed as expected. The effect of this, Honorable Speaker, is that even part of the minimum allocation granted to the sector was eventually not released by the National Treasury due to various reasons, including physical challenges. With regard to the second inquiry, Honorable Speaker, I wish to respond that the Presidential Secondary School bursary funds are dispersed in two bunches every year. That is the first half and the second half. The bursary is constituency-based, and all the 290 constituencies are equally allocated. The State Department was allocated 400 million Kenya shillings in both the 2022/2023 and the 2023/2024 financial years, but obtained only 200 million shillings from the National Treasury, which affected the disbursement. Of greater concern, Honorable Speaker, is that the total requirement for the Presidential Secondary School bursary was 2.56 billion shillings in the year 2022-2023 and financial year 2.65 billion shillings in the 2024-2025 financial year. Yet only 400 million was allocated, representing an allocation of only 15% of the total requirement. The plan to ensure timely disbursement for the previous and current financial year will therefore involve regular appraisal and reporting over the next 2 quarters of this financial year by the National Treasury to the Social Protection Committee on measures being put in place to release currently allocated funds and all pending balances under the bursary program. The Social Protection Committee shall regularly engage the National Treasury during the course of this financial year to ensure disbursement of the appropriated funds as well as pending balances allocated to the Presidential Secondary School bursary funds. With this regard, Honorable Speaker, I wish to respond that the State Department for Social Protection and Senior Citizen Affairs manages the bursary with henceforth be required to prepare and release authority to incur expenditure AIE schedules in a timely manner. The timely reverse of the authority to incur expenditure will facilitate effective disbursement and utilization of the funds to the counties for the payment of fees for the beneficiaries at the constituency level. Further, the Social Protection Committee will involve the State Department for Social Protection and the National Assembly to secure sufficient allocation of resources to the Presidential Secondary School bursary in order to enable orphans and vulnerable children from poor families to access secondary school education without hindrances or inconveniences. Finally, the National Treasury, Honorable Speaker, will be required to furnish the Social Protection Committee with regular exchequer release up to date and to additionally commit to releasing 100% of all the Presidential Secondary School bursary for funds allocation. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker,
Umetosheka?
I'm not satisfied, Honorable Speaker,
Yes.
because this particular statement is not addressing, it's not giving the solution to the reasons why this statement was raised, because it's just giving excuses of exchequer and such. And secondly, Honorable Speaker, if you look at response number 4 and response number 11, they are not going together, because in response number 4 is talking about disbursement happening in the first part of the year and the second part of the year. But in response number 11 is talking about timely disbursement or release of exchequer. Now we are almost 6 months inside the first half of the year, and nothing has been released so far. So those two responses are not tallying. Secondly, Honorable Speaker, I come from a constituency that has a lot of orphans. And the reason is I border some hostile communities in the international borders, and we lose our people on a daily basis. And therefore, once these children or students qualify for this presidential bursary, we expect them to be paid full salary, full bursary for the whole year until they finish their school. But now, because of this non-release of the exchequer or delay of disbursement, these students we assume the school, but we realize that they're out of school because when they're being chased from school. So it becomes difficult even to consider them for other bursary like NGCDF and maybe county bursary, because we are very sure that the presidential bursary has already taken them because they are offers. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, Mwenje.
Honorable Speaker, thank you for your indulgence.
Yes.
I just want to come in on this issue and inform the chair and perhaps the honorable member brought us on this issue. Honorable Speaker, the issue of presidential bursaries is quite thorny, and it's never clear when these funds come. Perhaps I don't know if the chair is aware, but I'm aware that the presidential bursary funds, about 600,000 per constituency, have been released. It is incumbent upon every member through their children officer to go and actually check for this money. Otherwise, this money is spent without honorable members being aware. Perhaps, Honorable Speaker, I would suggest that the chair would be willing to invite members, or even through their committee, perhaps invite our constituency managers so they can become aware when these funds come, because these funds do come and are disbursed without knowledge of members. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Alice.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, from where I sit, the financial year 2022-2023 and 2023-2024, it was because of lack of release of exchequer. You can see those two financial years, the only money that was released was 400 million, and yet it was supposed to be 1.26 billion, Honorable Speaker. So I can imagine the gap is there. But even with the few amount of money that was released, the only thing that we need to say is like what Honorable Mwenje has said, to be letting members of parliament know how much money is going to every constituency and to who are the beneficiary of that bursary fund, presidential bursary funds. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, member for Turkana Central.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. This is a very pertinent issue, especially to those of us from marginalized constituencies. Honorable Speaker, just like how Inua Jamii operates, you can check in the system and you can understand and even know the person benefiting from Inua Jamii program. But this one, it is not easy. It is not easy for us to know who are the beneficiaries of this 600,000 presidential bursary. Honorable Speaker, it will be important for the ministry, through the chair, that we also enter these beneficiaries into the system, so that once we click, at the click of a button, we can be able to understand in the same way in which we are able to understand the Inua Jamii beneficiaries. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Alice, you can do that.
Sorry. Honorable Speaker, I can do that. I can do like what I did with Inua Jamii. I'll come up here with a list on how much money we'll get for every financial year, and I'll let the constituency know how much it is going to their constituencies, but they also check with their children officers so that they can know how much money have reached at the constituency and which children are benefiting from the said amount of money. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. End of statement time. Next order. Order number 12.
Order number 12, the Business Laws Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 49 of 2024, second reading, resumption of debate.
Who was on the floor? Marianne, you are on the floor and you have a balance of 8 minutes.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Proceed.
The business laws amendments that that are being proposed, one of the other things it would look at is the establishment of laboratories, and these laboratories are for testing of any goods or manufactured by the manufacturers or any products that will come into this country, and that will allow that all products that get to the customer through onto the shelves of the customers have been properly tested and certificates produced. So where cabs will not be able to do or to undertake the testing I think the Kenya National Accreditation Service will be able to establish accredit laboratories that can now be used for testing of equipment or testing of all the goods that will be made available to the customers. So the business laws are coming in handy to make sure that the products that the customers consume are actually of quality and as per the standards that have been set in Kenya. The other issue that is coming in the business laws is the calibration services. Today, and many times you find customers complaining that a bag of cement, perhaps that has been sold by one of the cement companies, is 40 kilos as opposed to 50 kilos. Sometimes we buy a loaf of bread, and in that loaf of bread, you are told it is 500 grams, but when you weigh, the loaf of bread is 400 grams. One of the facilities or functions we are introducing or making sure that the Standards Act will have is the establishment of calibration facilities across the country. And these calibration facilities will ensure that the product that we sell to the customer actually carries the weight within which it says it carries. And many times, perhaps sometimes customers say the bread is not for 500 grams, but it is because maybe the weighing scale they use is not calibrated. So the calibration services that will, this Standards Act are going to make sure that every part of this country has calibration, and where we don't have a service provider, where we don't have cabs or our cabs are unable to do calibration, we will have calibration service providers who have been accredited and are able to give us calibration. We've also said that any company that is going to perform conformity assessment in Kenya must be accredited by the Kenya National Accreditation Service. And this will avoid situations where many conformity assessment bodies that are in country here seek accreditation services outside the country, thereby denying this country the required revenue and also using standards that we do not know. So the accreditation service in Kenya will make sure that every accreditation body or every body performing conformity assessments will also ensure that their services have been accredited here in Kenya. We are happy that the Majority Leader said he's dropping the scrap metal amendments bill because we recently did some amendments in the miscellaneous amendment bill that was passed on this floor, which I now understand is in Senate. However, the scrap metal bill or the scrap metal act will be coming back to this house after about 6 months because we as a committee have also looked at the whole scrap metal act. And there are various amendments that we will be proposing that will not be carried in any omnibus legislation, but it will come on its own. On the issues of the special economic zones, that is one of the areas that is actually covered under the business law. And the special economic zone has proposed to introduce a minimum. Initially, it was about minimum land acreage. But since we know that land is a scarce resource and land is not growing, we as a committee have proposed a minimum investment amount that can be put in an area that is to be considered a special economic zone, and that will actually encourage investments into the special economic zones. Some of the add-ons that we are going to get in the special economic zones are incentives and tax benefits that will be granted to anyone who is going to operate in the special economic zones as a developer or as an enterprise. And a few of those tax benefits is like, for example, we are giving a 10-year moratorium on tax benefits and incentives for these companies that are going to be in the special economic zones. We are also introducing a one-stop shop for people or for all the enterprises that are going to operate in a special economic zone. This then will make our country a good destination point for investors, because as we speak today, we know that many investors are going to our neighboring countries because of certain benefits that those countries are giving. But because we are now introducing a one-stop shop where all services are going to be put together, then these services are going to, the investment is going to become easy in terms of any investor coming into this country. And also the other issue is that all the goods that are being produced in a special economic zone will be treated as within the customs controlled area. That is a very big plus, especially for manufacturers who are going to manufacture in these special economic zones. especially when taxing and taxes are required. So they will only be charged tax if those products are moving out of the so-called controlled area. In terms of MSMEs, the Kirdi Act is also being amended to ensure that the MSMEs benefit from tax incentives that these so very people require to benefit. And this goes together with the startup bill that I think was laid on the floor of the House, and we've already debated on it. And that the tax incentives that are going to be enjoyed by the companies that are as MSMEs are going to be enormous under these business laws that have come up. The last issue that the Business Laws Amendment Bill also looks at is the electronic single window system, where we have situations where some companies are exempted from taxation. But because the single window system did not allow such exemptions, then they are then still forced to pay levies for use of the single window system. Example is all those people who are persons with disability. They are exempted from paying taxes. But where an importation has to happen and they have to use a single window system, they have been required to be able to pay levies that are required of the single window system. So this exemption will allow such kind of people like persons with disability to be able to enjoy the tax exemptions that have already been given under the tax act. So they will pass through the national electronic single window. So most of the bills or amendments that are coming under the business law are actually coming to benefit the businessman, as well as benefit the consumer, who is the biggest gainer in the business laws. I thank you and I support.
Very well. Ambassador Lagat.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to also support the bill on behalf of Finance Committee. Mr. Speaker, you remember when this bill was read for the first time, the Speaker had given responsibility to two committees, that is the Trade Committee and the Finance Committee, because as you realize, this is an omnibus bill touching on different business laws. Mr. Speaker, Finance Committee had been given the responsibility to check clause 1 to clause 19, which are the bills amending, which are the sections amending Central Bank Act, the Banking Act, Mr. Speaker, Microfinance Act, Mr. Speaker, and related laws, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, we did consider these provisions affecting the banking sector, Mr. Speaker. And, Mr. Speaker, the bill proposes key amendments to the Banking Act, the Central Bank Act, and the Microfinance Act to improve the financial stability of the sector, of the banking sector, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, one of the biggest or notable changes which the bill seeks to amend is, Mr. Speaker, that it seeks to increase the core capital requirements of the various banks, Mr. Speaker, from the present 1 billion to progressively 10 billion in 3 years, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the committee noted that our core capital in the banking sector has remained 1 billion for the last almost 10 years. But we are a growing economy, Mr. Speaker. Our population is increasing. The number of companies which are operating in our country is increasing. Mr. Speaker, we need strong banks. We need banks that can absorb the shocks in the financial sector, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, this proposal is a welcome proposal, Mr. Speaker. But of course, when we did the public participation, we had representations, mainly from the banking sector, Mr. Speaker, that though they agree with the proposal in principle, but Mr. Speaker, they had an issue with the timing, that if you ask a bank within 3 years to get an additional 9 billion, Mr. Speaker, then it means they have to wipe all their investments to channel to the capital requirements, meaning that they will not be able to lend to any private sector in the next 3 years, Mr. Speaker. And again, they said, even if they were to merge, because of this requirement, the merger process requires time so that it can be seamless, so that it can actually get the right structures for the banks that would merge eventually. So, Mr. Speaker, somewhere at the third reading, we shall be introducing some amendment, especially in terms of the time required to be able to increase these capital requirements. And we have actually agreed 8 years with some milestones before the 8 years expires, so that we say after 3 years, there must be somewhere 3 billion, after 4 years, 5 billion, and then finally, the 8th year, they will have gotten the required 10 billion, Mr. Speaker. The other proposals, Mr. Speaker, is on the non-deposit taking microfinance businesses. Mr. Speaker, microfinance, non-deposit taking microfinance credit providers have been operating without a regulatory framework. They have been operating without, outside the Central Bank of Kenya ambit, Mr. Speaker. But we are saying it is time that this sector is regulated. They are doing a lot of lending, but Mr. Speaker, you can find them charging interest up to 2 times, 3 times the premium, the original loan, Mr. Speaker. So this bill seeks to bring all the non-deposit taking credit providers, including digital lenders, Mr. Speaker, to the regulation of Central Bank, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, this bill brings procedures for requiring them to be licensed by Central Bank, to apply for licensing, Mr. Speaker, to allow Central Bank to be able to call for any information which is required for the purpose of getting them to order, Mr. Speaker. In fact, under Clause 4, Central Bank is required to create a code of conduct and implement the licensing requirement for these providers, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the other section, the other business which is required with this bill, brings it under Central Bank ambit, Mr. Speaker, is what we call the credit guarantee businesses, Mr. Speaker, who is normally charged with underwriting the risk of the borrowers, Mr. Speaker, for the lenders. Mr. Speaker, Clause 9 proposes to amend and to get regulations on licensing of credit guarantee businesses under the Central Bank Act, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I also want to, we had before, we have these lenders who give credit to our border riders, our border young men, Mr. Speaker. In fact, we had been investigating a case where they lend to the border buyer will pay, Mr. Speaker. When it is 70%, Mr. Speaker, they come and take over the border without any refund to the border riders, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in fact, in particular, Clause 19 of the bill says that an non-deposit taking microfinance business shall exhibit transparency in dealing with the public, and in particular, shall furnish borrowers with accurate information on the procedure and conditions for lending. Mr. Speaker, inform borrowers prior to the acquisition of a loan of the financial cost associated with the procurement and servicing of that micro loan to be met by the borrower. Mr. Speaker, earlier on, you could sign forms. You do not know the rate of interest. You do not know the hidden cost of the loan, Mr. Speaker. But now we are saying the microfinance, the non-deposit taking microfinance, Mr. Speaker, must inform you the rate before, must inform you the other costs associated with the loan, Mr. Speaker, and Mr. Speaker must maintain confidentiality of information relating to the borrowers. In particular, Mr. Speaker, a non-deposit taking microfinance business shall, in the course of that collection, and this is where the problem has been, Mr. Speaker, you find you are paid up to 70%, the next day they come for you, Mr. Speaker, wherever you are, they forcefully take the asset from you, Mr. Speaker, without any respect, Mr. Speaker. But we are now saying under clause 19.2 that a non-deposit taking microfinance business shall, in the course of debt collection or loan recovery, not harass, abuse, or oppress a borrower, a guarantor, or any person in connection with collection or recovery of a debt. Number two, Mr. Speaker, a non-deposit taking microfinance business shall not threaten or use violence or illegal means in collection or recovery of debt, Mr. Speaker. This has been very common with the border business, Mr. Speaker. But now we are putting the law that they shall not threaten or use violence or any legal means in collection of the debt, Mr. Speaker. Number C, not use obscene or profane language to a borrower, guarantor, or any person in connection with the collection or recovery of a debt. So, Mr. Speaker, we are simply creating order in an otherwise unorderly sector, Mr. Speaker. We want to create order. We want people, Kenyans, to have confidence. It is not a crime to get a loan.
Mike, now you add him 1 minute because he talked about 70% payment, but ended up speaking a lot of English. What have you done about these people who have paid 70% of the property they took? 1 minute, then we go to...
Mr. Speaker, I said that previously these non-deposit taking credit providers, including the digital lenders, Mr. Speaker, they were not under the regulation of central bank. And they could do anything, including coming and take your border, and you had nowhere to go to. Now we are brought them under the central bank control. They will be furnishing information to central bank. I have read to you clause 19, which actually gives which, Mr. Speaker, clause 19 says, first of all, the borrowers must be given accurate information. For example, how much have you paid before you take away my border? How much is outstanding? If I take the border, how much, Mr. Speaker, was it sold for? And how much will I get for the amount I've contributed? Mr. Speaker, I've also said that under clause 19.2, they should not harass or abuse or oppress a borrower, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, I am simply saying we are bringing order by bringing these credit providers into the central bank control, Mr. Speaker.
Very well, very well. Honorable Undo, you can pick up from there.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Let me first of all start by also empathizing and sympathizing with you and the people of Luanda for the massive deaths and of crimes associated with Luanda, because the best moments are normally shared with the lady from Luanda. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Allow me, Honorable Speaker, to also take this opportunity to make a comment on the Business Laws Amendment Bill. As usual, Honorable Speaker, is what we call omnibus law that covers a large number of several bills or several acts and legislation, And the danger of quite a number of the details being lost in the very many cases like this is normally very possible. And you end up Kenyans being saddled with laws or amendments that make their life much, much harder than they thought. Honorable Speaker, I want to comment on the banking amendments to the Banking Act. I want to pick up from where the ambassador has been prosecuting the case. Honorable Speaker, one area, one aspect of life that has really destroyed businesses, destroyed families, and destroyed individuals is the cases of loans we take from the so-called hawkers. I want to call them hawkers. They entice you with very sweet words. By the time you do not know what's in the details. And Honorable Speakers always say there's always a joke that they would send the most petite lady, girl, at the time of taking the loan. But the moment you have trouble, they want to depossess, to take action, they will send the meanest looking man, a bouncer. By the time you leave to call the petite lady, she's not reachable. Probably she has changed her complexion. She's not the lady that you looked for. I just want the Committee of Finance and the National Planning to continuously tighten the regulations so that we save Kenyans. Honorable Speaker, many times we members of Parliament, I'll receive calls. Mheshimiwa, they have come to take away my cows. Mheshimiwa, they have come, they have carried away my beddings, and yet I did not even know that my wife actually went and took a loan from this microfinance. Any organization, any individual who is interested and who participates in some land lending process, money lending process, must be regulated to an extent that surely I must know what are the terms, what am I signing for. I must be regularly be updated. This is the statement as it looks. Many times, Honorable Speaker, you think you have finished paying, then you are ambushed later that you still have a balance that has ballooned, that you left 10,000, it has now ballooned after 5 years to a huge amount. These amendments, I hope, will go a long way in addressing these issues. Honorable Speaker, I have no intentions at all, and I have never dreamed of, my dreams cannot stretch that far, of starting a bank. None at all. But when I was coming here, Honorable Speaker, one of my constituents is a CEO of one of these mortgage finance companies. And he sent me a message that, Honorable Speaker, many banks, many financial institutions allow for financial inclusion. That if we increase the core capital, it means we'll have fewer, bigger banks that will ignore the small man down there. And Honorable Speaker, let us look at the model of Equity Bank. When Equity Bank came, it expanded and allowed the unbankable to be bankable. Look at the model look at the model of Fuliza, for example. It has allowed an unbankable to access. So the plea, they said, 10 billion, 3 years is practically impossible. All that you'll be left with are mergers. And when you merger, you'll have a behemoth that will not listen to the small man. I'm happy the committee has considered and stretched that period to a certain number of years. But probably, why can't you have a tiered system? Tier 1, 10 billion, Tier 2, 5 billion, Tier 3, 1 billion, Tier 1, I mean the lowest tier. I can even change my mind. Even if I have 100 million, I can start a bank only to serve my friends, probably those that we meet across the other side, so that we have a common understanding. Honorable Speaker, so that we manage, we never exclude anybody else. The moment we exclude anybody in the formal banking system, that's why you have Shylocks coming into place, filling the gaps left. Honorable Speaker, in our villages, there is something in Funyula constituency. There is a program where women who sell and while sitting down, what they call a bedo, a word borrowed from our neighbors in Ugenya, meaning to sit on the ground. Honorable Speaker, they are exploited. You find somebody, gives them 1,000, at the end of the day has to take about 1,300, as part both the principal and the interest. So we need to continuously review the banking and the financial market to ensure that we address the many, many challenges that we have. Honorable Speaker, the second part of the bill deals with what I want to call the standards architecture, the standards framework. And this involves, Honorable Speaker, the Standards Act that deals with the CAB, involves the Kenya National Accreditation Services Act that normally sets up KENAS, and to some extent, Honorable Speaker, deals also with the special economic zone and the rest. Honorable Speaker, standards all over the world allow our country to do cross-border trading, allows the country to standardize, allows the world to standardize so that a product gotten from one area is as good as a product gotten to this country. Honorable Speaker, and I think this is a matter the Deputy Speaker has been very passionate about, and he has studiously and relentlessly pursued here. The issue of chemicals or pesticides or insecticides, whatever they are called, pesticides used in the agriculture sector, they are imported from countries, yet in the country of origin, they are not allowed to be used. So that you find that in Kenya here, it's a dumping ground. So one of the amendments, Honorable Speaker, as a committee of trade and cooperative, we have incorporated to enrich this particular bill is a requirement that a product will not be sold in this country if it's not widely used in the country of origin, to ensure that dumping does not happen. If you can't take it, then you should not give to us, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, one area also that we have dealt with at length is the issue of some changes that were being proposed under the standards levy that to ensure, to force, to make it necessary that anybody who does conformity assessment, pre-shipment conformity assessment, must have a presence here in Kenya, a tax presence here in Kenya. It's counterproductive, it's going to be expensive on Kenya, and we have successfully persuaded that, honestly speaking, let the conformity assessment be done under the terms established for KEBS. Finally, Honorable Speaker, so that we allow other members to contribute, is the issue of measurement standards, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I've struggled for many years to convince my old mother that the kilo of meat today is the same kilo of meat she used to buy in 1970s. I have been unable to convince her. Every time she sees me, she tells me, you sit in parliament, where can you go tell the government to reinstate the kilo that was there in 1970s? We do so, Honorable Speaker, because of the issue of calibration. Honorable Speaker, I have got quite a number of friends of mine who are engineers. You see, luckily enough, if you went to the University of Nairobi, especially in the faculty of engineering, you will definitely have met these gentlemen and ladies. Honorable Speaker, they tell me altitude and weight or measurement have got a relationship. And they tell me in this country, the only place you can get a correct weight of an item or a mass is in Likoni. So it means calibration must be made depending on altitude. We hope now with the standardization of calibrating laboratories and equipment that has been given to Kenyans will improve the quantity of the goods and services we buy. With those few remarks, Honorable Speaker, I support.
The Honorable Irene Mayaka.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I also stand to support this bill that we've referred to as an omnibus bill because it seeks to amend various provisions of different laws. But Honorable Speaker, in my submissions, I will focus on Article 1 to 19 because having worked in the banking industry previously for 10 years and having had a lot of experience in that space, I'm really excited about these particular laws because what they seek to do is they are bringing sanity into the financial and credit lending industry, which, as most members have said, has been subjected to a lot of mischief in the past. Honorable Speaker, when you look at clause number 2 and in particular, it outlays and introduces penalties on non-compliance. And Honorable Speaker, especially the amount that has been indicated there of above up to 20 million Kenya shillings, this is going to actually limit the number of people who even qualify for that in the first place. Because as members have indicated, we have a lot of credit lenders out there that are taking undue advantage of Kenyans, that are taking undue advantage of consumers in making them get into credit situations that they're not able to get out.
Order, Honorable McClub. This is not a market for pastoralists, but just do the correct thing. Proceed, Honorable Mark.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I will proceed on to clause number 3, which, Honorable Speaker, for the last 12 years, we have not had any changes in terms of the core capital requirements allocated for financial institutions. And Honorable Speaker, I like the fact that the committee has actually already indicated that they are amending this to 8 years, and they are actually staggering the periods within which the amounts, the minimum core capital will be included. But Honorable Speaker, even as we seek to change the core capital requirements for financial institutions, we should also be very keen in terms of the tiers that the banking industry has been put in. Because what this says is that we need to then define, are we making changes to the tiers that the banking institutions has been forecasting by the central bank for the previous years, or are we now introducing a new tier system? That, Honorable Speaker, needs to be very clear. Honorable Speaker, when you look at clause number 5 through to clause number 8, it actually now outlays the specific penalties, the licensing requirements, the regulations and the code of conduct for all these that are referred to as non-deposit taking credit providers. And Honorable Speaker, this has also been a source for extorting consumers, including where we have consumers who actually take credit of their electronics and household items, and then they are subjected to this being taken away from them because they're not able to comply. But Honorable Speaker, even as we do this, and the fact that we're introducing regulations on the interest, this also prevents the extortion that actually happens within that particular space. Honorable Speaker, when you look at clause number 12, which talks about giving a 5-year transition period for businesses. And Honorable Speaker, I'm really hoping that the committee is listening to this, and the Vice Chair of the committee, I wish I had his attention, because Honorable Speaker, even as the Finance Committee proposes to give a 5-year transition, for me, Honorable Speaker, I will be introducing an amendment because I feel like the ongoing clients can be subjected to this. But if a financial institution or a credit lending institution is onboarding new clients, then the new clients should ideally be subjected to these new laws. Because if you're onboarding new clients and they're still within the 5 years transition period, then you're not really curing anything. We need to start seeing the effects of these laws on the clients who are being onboarded. So, Honorable Speaker, on this particular clause 12, I'll introduce an amendment for us to be able to accommodate for that. Honorable Speaker, when you look at clause 13 through to clause 19, it speaks about the microfinance space. And Honorable Speaker, I like the fact that they have specified that this will only affect businesses whose annual revenue exceeds 500,000 shillings. This is very important, Honorable Speaker, because it then classifies and ensures that we are not affecting microfinances which are already really assisting Kenyans. Honorable Speaker, further to that, I had a look at the committee report in terms of the public participation they conducted from different counties, Kericho County, Isiolo County, Siaya County, and you can clearly see that Kenyans have really welcomed these particular amendments because they have been suffering for a very long time from unscrupulous lenders, from mischievous lenders, and also, Honorable Speaker, it is time that we actually bring sanity back to our financial institution. Honorable Speaker, I'll give you an example of one of the banks, Chase Bank, that went into collapse. And Honorable Speaker, there was no anticipation from the consumers to note that this was actually going to go down with their monies. Honorable Speaker, one of the small letter terms and conditions that are input in banking, in the banking industry, is that if a bank is about to go under, then you cannot remove your deposits. So, Honorable Speaker, when we are specifying the core requirements, the core capital requirements for banking industries and ensuring that this is actually maintained, what in essence we are doing is protecting the consumer, who is the ultimate beneficiary of this particular financial space. Honorable Speaker, as I conclude so that I give other members an opportunity, I just want to say that in essence, what this particular law will assist in, and I'm specifically talking about clause 2 to clause 19, is that it will prevent a lot of fraud issues that we are having, mismanagement of funds, money laundering, which is also one of the issues that is really at a high, and monitoring operations. And Honorable Speaker, I wish that especially for the local banks, because I know for international banks, what they do is that they comply with the laws of the country where they are based, or their mother country, whichever is more stringent. Ideally, Honorable Speaker, we should also make sure that we are adhering to the global standards that have been put out there for financial institutions. So, Honorable Speaker, I just want to support this particular bill, and I urge the honorable members to also support this, because as a house, we are seeking to, at the tail end of this, to protect the consumer, who is the Kenyans that we actually serve. I submit.
The Honorable Wakili Muriu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to support this bill with a number of amendments. Mr. Speaker, it is clear that one of the issues this bill wants to do is to consolidate the financial institutions by bringing in merger, by enhancing the capital. Mr. Speaker, there's a danger in that. We have seen the challenges of monopoly, especially when it comes to big corporations, whereby they become insensitive to the pricing. Mr. Speaker, you have noted over the years, the banks, despite the fact that Kenyans are crying of high interest rates, they are reporting billions and billions of profit. Now, the moment we now try to bring in the microfinance, who is taking care of the customers who have been rejected by the commercial banks, and trying to create another giant corporations which are not sensitive to the people? Mr. Speaker, I think you are missing the point. Coming to the issue about the reverse invoicing, especially when it comes to the issue on the tax procedure amendments. Mr. Speaker, again, we are making a mistake. We are saying, as a supplier, as a farmer, Mr. Speaker, whereby you are supposed to sell certain items.
Whom do you want to inform? And is he willing to be informed? He's just contributing. Do you want to be informed, Wakili?
I think I'm well educated.
Proceed, Wakili.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The floor is mine. Mr. Speaker, I want to join the omnibus business bill with, Mr. Speaker, with the tax procedure amendment. And I want to show, Mr. Speaker, the folly of bringing in legislation without testing them. Mr. Speaker, what you're saying, long and short, is this. And that is tax procedure amendment number 2 of 2024, paragraph 2, subparagraph 3A. We are saying, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, what's your point of order, Honorable Benjamin?
Mr. Speaker, the member mentioned that we are seeking to bring the mergers which actually is misinforming the public. Mr. Speaker, the bill seeks to increase the core capital of different banks from 1 billion progressively to 10 billion in 3 years. There is nowhere we are telling anybody to match. Number two, Mr. Speaker, in the spirit of relevance, the honorable member is debating about tax procedures bill, which we concluded in the morning. This is Business Laws Amendment Bill number of 2024, not tax procedures bill.
Very well. We've heard you, and the member has heard you. Proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And protect me because, again, this is a house of debate, and these proposed laws are in this house, and therefore it's important that we ventilate on those issues because they affect our people in the ground. Mr. Speaker, I wanted just to show clearly how, when you bring in untested laws, the folly. Now, we are talking about reverse invoicing. Mr. Speaker, reverse invoicing, what it means, long and short, is that the farmer who is supplying the maize to NCPB, since he cannot be able to raise an invoice, it is NCPB, where the honorable member comes from, who is supposed to raise the invoice. Long and short, what it means, long and short, is this. NCPB is going to ask for details, the PIN number, the address, and all that information. And, Mr. Speaker, we are going to end up in the same situation where we were when we brought in the issue about the e-teams. It's not the right time to start bringing taxes to primary agriculture. We need to safeguard our farmers from taxation. 70 to 80% of our population lives in the agricultural sector. Mr. Speaker, today, my farmers in Gatanga who farms avocado, the ones who farms macadamia, the ones who farms milk, the moment you start bringing issues about taxation, about their PIN number, naturally, what you find is that they will stop supplying those things, and ultimately, Mr. Speaker, what will happen eventually, they'll be deprived of their income. Finally, Mr. Speaker, before all these things are put in place, any new idea need to come with education, Mr. Speaker. We need, first of all, to train and teach our people what is e-teams, what is reverse invoicing, so at least there's no repercussion, especially when it comes to the back and forth, because ultimately there'll be an uproar by the farmers saying they are paying tax for their milk, they are paying tax for their macadamia, they are paying tax for the avocado, and then we go back to the same issue. And finally, Mr. Speaker, on the issue about the fertilizer, and that is has come out on the tax laws amendment bill number 2024. Mr. Speaker, the proposal there is to remove.
What's your point of order?
Is to remove, Mr. Speaker. Sorry.
There's Honorable Tuku is a point of order.
Mr. Speaker, I heard the honorable member mention a bill that has not been that is not in discussion today. The issue to do with the tax laws amendment bill. Is he anticipating debate against the rules of the House?
In fact, Wakili Muriu, this is the second time a member is cautioning you about getting into a matter that is not on the table of the House.
Mr. Speaker,
ordinarily, this is a house of rules and order, and we lay one business on table. Currently, we are dealing with the business laws amendment. So please confine yourselves on the rules of relevance. Proceed.
Mr. Speaker, I close my argument. Thank you very much.
And next to speak on this, it was Tuku yourself.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. Actually, I was just checking with the clerk just to be sure that I'm still on the queue. I wish to take this opportunity, Mr. Speaker, first of all, to support this omnibus amendment bill on business laws. Mr. Speaker, it is important to note, and I'm very happy with this bill because for the first time, we are addressing issues to do with Kenyans that affect them directly. And Mr. Speaker, as much as I support, there are areas that I'm uncomfortable with, and as an able legislator, I'm going to bring amendments, especially on the issue of increasing the core capital of banks to the tune of 10 billion within a span of 3 years. I think, Mr. Speaker, this is very abrupt. It is it is timely, but then if you're going to implement within 3 years, then this is going to be disruptive to the banking industry, because you realize there are some upcoming banks that were registered just recently, and we must give them time to grow, or else we'll be telling them to close shop and leave the big boys to be the players in this industry, which would be then clipping back to the dark days whereby we only had a few banks who monopolized the market, and they had in a way created some form of cartel where they would control lending in terms of interest rates, and in fact they go to a place where they could not bank the small, the so-called small traders. They would not take small monies, and I think it is only right that we increase this term from 3 years to about 10 years. Stagger the same, maybe say within every year you have to increase $1 billion every year to the tune of 10 years, so that then we do not kill the babies that are coming up in the block. And Mr. Speaker, as much as we would want to safeguard our customers and our people so that then they do not lose their deposits, then we must be alive to that fact. Mr. Speaker, I am also happy with the fact that now Central Bank will be looking into the parameters of lending of microfinances and our banks as well. You realize that banks, as the predecessor of who has just spoken has said, have been reporting supernormal profits. Supernormal profits when everybody else is making losses, simply because they have been left to determine how much they're going to add above the central bank lending rate, and therefore making profits that they are not shy to report. And you know, in our dialect we say, once you eat and you're full, please make sure that you cover your stomach. Banks have been uncovering their stomachs that are full, yet everybody else is struggling, and we find them auctioning our properties and our people's properties every day. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, I am happy that the central bank today, going forward after the passage of this law, they will be able to rein into the lending habits of microfinances. I have had instances where, Mr. Speaker, I've had to go and rescue some of our people, especially students, who are falling victims to these lending microfinances, where they go take laptops and they borrow money, digital lenders, and once they're not able to pay, these people come for them and they want to retake whatever it is that these people have acquired. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, I am in support that Central Bank must, going forward, regulate and rein into these Shylocks, microfinances that are Shylocking. Mr. Speaker, on the issue of credit guarantees, businesses, we've had a lot of issues because they are not regulated. So you realize that wherever they issue bonds and claimants come looking for them, then they are not able to raise the money that they guaranteed. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, whoever the person who was guaranteed or the guarantor loses what it is that these companies had guaranteed. And especially on the issues of performance bonds, bid bonds, because we have many companies that issue the same today, but if they are not regulated and have that data shared with the central bank, so that then they do not issue bonds and guarantees that are above their capability, then having a central bank regulate the same today will really cure that and actually, in a way, cushion the person who is guaranteed from losing their investment. Mr. Speaker, on the issue of registration of manufacturers with the standards body, that is KEBS, I am in support. We have so many unscrupulous manufacturers who are doing things that are doing products that are either harmful, substandard, others do not meet the weight that is required or that as indicated in their packages. And Mr. Speaker, I have a very specific issue with cement manufacturers, because this is two reasons to me. Recently, I engaged one of the project managers, and he had this to tell me. Most of the cements that we're using today do not meet the standards, the international standards that are required. And they did a study with the University of Nairobi. And for sure, the standards that are indicated on the packaging have not been met. And Mr. Speaker, I think this bill would not have come at a better time. And I think it is time that KEBS realize that whatever standards they are using, they are not in tandem with what our scholars are finding out when they are doing their research. In terms of weight, you realize in the packaging they have indicated that this is a 50 kg bag. But in realistic, Mr. Speaker, these bags or these cements, the grammage or the weight is less than 50 kgs. In fact, we did a test in one of the sites, Mr. Speaker, with this project manager who asked me to just accompany him so that then he can verify what it is that was telling me. And for sure, instead of 50 kg package, weight, what we found out is about 43 kgs. And I think it's about time that we called out some of the departments that are sleeping on the job, and especially the one on weight and measures department, so that then they do what they need to do, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, one of the speakers here, the Honorable Dr. Oudo, asked a question. What is the difference between the weight yesterday and the weight today? Because a kg of meat yesterday is not the same today. In terms of calibration, have we changed the standards of calibration in terms of the equipment that we're using to measure? Because we are the same people who were there yesterday, but of course we know the mischief that is in the industry, whereby once the price is increased, what the manufacturers do and the unscrupulous business people do is to reduce the weight so that then they do not make any losses, but still sell the products at the same price that they were selling yesterday. But finally, Mr. Speaker, today I saw the president commissioning some factory or some manufacturing concern in the coast region. And Mr. Speaker, the issue of building steel, is another area that we need to rein into. Many of our buildings are collapsing today because of substandard steel. A Y10 building bar that was of yesterday is not the same as the one that we're using today. And the reason as to why we are having our houses collapsing every single day, I think for sure, Kenya Bureau of Standards must rise up to the occasion and make sure that the products that are being consumed by Kenyans are of the right standard, they're of the right weight, so that then we do not have the losses that we have been suffering. Mr. Speaker, I support this bill, but of course, I'm going to bring an amendment on the issue of banks' core capital to make sure that we stagger the same to a period of 10 years and not 3 years as prescribed. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable David Mboni.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity also to say one or two things about this business laws amendment. On onset, Mr. Speaker, I'm a member of Finance Committee, and I want to focus on only two clauses so that I can give other people time to also speak. I want to focus on clause 3 and clause 10. Clause 3 proposes the bank to increase their core capital from 1 billion to 10 billion within 3 years. Core capital, by definition, is actually the capital which is required, amount of money which is required by the banks to transact business. And it has its own advantages and disadvantages. One of the advantages of the core capital, it reduces the risk of banks collapsing when they face panic withdrawals by customers, and also probably when we have a run on banks. So that, and you remember, Mr. Speaker, we have been having a lot of banks collapsing because they don't have enough core capital. Two, when you increase the core capital, you are going to have strong banks which can really, with the huge capital, which can lend. And we are talking about even the syndicate loans. When several big banks come together and raises capital to fund big projects, which is an advantage to this country and to any economy. Mr. Speaker, it has also have its own disadvantages. This country, we are the banks, they have rented the country to the tune of 45% of the total government securities. Now, if we increase this core capital, then the banks are going to have reduced funds to render the capital. That is one of the disadvantages, and also to the private sector. So that is one of the disadvantages. Some of these banks, the small ones, they may end up in mergers and acquisition. Now, when you have mergers and acquisition, we are going to have fewer banks, which may be elite, and also fail to cater for the small defaulters. So that is also a disadvantage which we need to look at. And the small banks, if we push them, they may collapse. Mr. Speaker, in this country we have 38 banks, which are in 3 tiers. Tier 1, the big boys. Tier 2, which have their core capital between 7, 8, 9. Then we have the small banks, which is Tier 3, which operate from 1 billion to 3 billion. These are the banks which we need to be very careful with. And there are around 6 of them which cannot raise these funds, and they need to be given some time. But we have also to agree that they also serve a clientele. There are people who cannot really go to the big banks. And you remember when equity started, equity penetrated up to the small estates in the town. And that is called financial administration. And if we are going to force these banks, small banks, to increase their capital, one thing what is going to happen is that they may collapse and people may lose jobs. 3 years is not enough time for process of merging and acquisition to take place. So definitely they are going to collapse, because getting government institutions like the Capital Competition Authority, the Capital Markets Authority, and even the auditing of these banks so that they can merge or be acquired, it takes a bit of time. So the proposal to increase the years from 3 to 7, I think that's what committee actually is proposing, and I think that's very important, so that we give these banks time, either the ones which are going to merge, they merge, the ones which are going to be sold by the owners, they sell, the ones which are going to increase their capital, they can increase. But, knowing how people operate, because banks are also owned by people, if we are going to say they raise this capital within 7 years, you realize that by the 7th year is when some of them are struggling to raise that capital. Also, the proposal is that within 3 years, let them raise their capital from 3 billion, from whatever billion to 5 billion. And that way, they can be able to move forward. Chair, as we have these banks, it's also good to note that the banks have actually forgotten their role as their functions as financial institutions. Banks have actually concentrated on lending to the government. 45% of government securities are owned by banks. That is around 2.2 trillion shillings. Imagine if 2.2 trillion can be lent to business people, what can the economy do? The economy is going to grow. So as much as we help them, they need to come up with a clear program of lending to the MSC, small and medium enterprises, which are the engine of economic growth. Chair, Speaker, let me move to the last one, clause 10, which proposes to include non-deposit taking institutions to to the armpit of the central bank. These are institutions which have been operating without any legal framework. They do whatever they want. They do what they want. They give people loans. They don't disclose the interest. And Chair, I remember we had a case of the border, which we did as a committee, and the findings were very alarming. Because these people, they give the border, which is costing around 180. But at the end of the day, the border rider is going to pay around 200 to around 360. But the most annoying thing is that by the time this border is paying 300, and he fails to pay even for 2 months, they can't unpick that border and rent it to another person. So I think by bringing them to legal framework, I think we are going to streamline them, and people are benefiting. Mama Boga have suffered. Our ladies at home, we have many cases whereby you realize that these people, they come and they even remove the roof from houses or people. Madam, Mr. Speaker, the qualification for this, the proposal to bring the qualification for these people to operate is very important, because this one is going to remove the quacks from financial sector. So with those few remarks, Mr. Speaker, I support.
The Honorable Paul Biego is in the House. You want to speak on this? Oh, very well. Then we have the Honorable Julius Ruto.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity that you've given me to also make a contribution into the proposed business amendment laws that are before us. And as rightly said, these are amorphous amendments of several laws, more so the Banking Act, the Central Bank Act of Kenya, the Standards Act, I've seen also the Scrap Metals Act, among others. Mr. Speaker, first of all, allow me to take this moment to appreciate my committee led by my chair, Kuria Kimani, that through a couple of 3 weeks or so, we've been going around the country, collecting views and listening to Kenyans on how they would want their country and more so financial institutions be governed. Among the views that Kenyans gave us is what has informed the amendments that will be presented over by the Chairman Finance later. On this particular amendment, I want to concentrate on the Banking Act and Central Bank Act of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, the proposal to increase the minimum core capital by the banking institutions or the commercial banks as required by law is not a new thing. It's not only a Kenyan issue, but it's an international requirement to ensure that the depositors' interests are protected. We are aware we've come from a situation or a period where we've seen the collapse of some commercial banks, one Jets Bank, Credit Bank, and after now the depositors are still struggling to get back their deposits. The need to increase this minimum core capital is to ensure that the balance sheet of these particular banks is not only what we see in their fixed assets, where we see lands, we see buildings, and maybe where they invest on securities as a venture to increase their income, but then subjecting the risk of available resources or monies, current asset that will be there for the depositors. Mr. Speaker, yes, I've heard many people trying to say this one might kill the banking sector. But Mr. Speaker, this is something we need to encourage. Kenyans that we have now have grown and have developed in their financial literacy. They are not Kenyans of yesterday. They are Kenyans who have gone to school. They have known the value of mobilizing resources through chamas, through groups, through cooperatives, and even individual savers or depositors. And as the way the world is going, and the encouragement of people to save, for them to access credit, for them to access financial payment and services, this calls for the need to expand the institution to ensure the risk associated is managed. So the increase on the minimum core capital, Mr. Speaker, will ensure that these particular institutions
safeguards the interest of the depositors. But nonetheless, to say, when we had the public participation and we were able to listen to the players in the sector, they gave justified reasons as to why we need to look at the time frame that had been recommended to 3 years, and we were able to appreciate the fact that most of these small financial or banking institutions are Kenyan banks institutions. They are owned by Kenyans, and if we allow or if we reduce or accept the reduction of time to 3 years, we will give the latitude to the multinationals to override on the Kenyan banks and Kenyan investors. So to give room to the Kenyan investors, I want to agree with many those who have spoken that we need to relook at the time frame that has been provided. The other issue, Mr. Speaker, that this particular amendment is coming up with is the protection of the small scale investors or the so-called small scale and micro enterprise entities. In this category, Mr. Speaker, are those people, we call them mamambogas, we call them border borders. They have been made to be a subject of scrupulous and regulated business entities, more so those who are lending credit and credit guaranteeing business. We have just released recently, a couple of months, at a case where there are complaints by the border sector, where they go secure a facility, collect a border, they end up paying it with a huge interest. If you sum the total cost, that is the principal and interest, it surpasses the principal cost and even the minimum interest that are provided for by the central bank. Reason why? Because they are not regulated. The interest they are charging is not regulated, and therefore they end up killing Kenyans. They end up taking advantage of Kenyans because they are there to borrow, because of the perceived kind of flexibility in this sector. But in the long run, the cost of acquiring that facility or that credit ends up being too huge. And other things that happens there, look at the way they secure that particular asset. We found many Kenyans coming wailing and crying, saying that yes, we took a facility, you took a border, you have paid more than even the cost of the cash price of the asset in the market, and then towards the end of finishing, when you fail to meet the repayment period, they come collect that asset with disregarding the amount of money they have given you. And if you look at it, because they are exposed, if you look at the registration, there is no provision for joint registration of that particular asset. So this amendment that is bringing in and giving powers to central bank to ensure they are regulated, they are licensed, it's going to sanitize this particular sector, and it's going to ensure that we protect the small scale, we protect Kenyans, we protect the border young men and women, so that they are able to trade and ensure they are safe within their economy. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, the issue of introduction of penalties on them to comply is also something that we welcome, because we have known some people who end up doing business with laxity, where central bank is coming in to ensure that they impose penalties for compliance. It's also a plus that we need to welcome in this particular amendment, so that, Mr. Speaker, we encourage the compliance and have a sanity, have order in this sector, and Kenyans in the long run will stand to benefit from their business. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. I support the amendment.
The Honorable Nofalson Barongo. You want to speak on this? Okay. What's your point of order, Dr. Bukosi?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, could I be in order to ask that the mover be called upon to reply? Please. Honorable Speaker. Yes. Yeah. Tumerudi hapa put the question. Relax.
Very well, honorable members. A member has risen from his place, that the mover be called upon to reply. And I put the question that is it the mood in the House that the mover be called upon to reply. Will as many as without opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as with opinion say nay? Nay. The ayes have it. Mover.
Honorable Speaker, from the onset, I would like to thank the members of this 13th Parliament for the great contributions they have made. We have been keenly listening to the views that you've given us, and as we take consideration of, as we prepare for amendments, Committee of the Whole House tomorrow, we'll try the best we can to carry as many of your amendments as possible, so that we can carry all ourselves together on this. Honorable Speaker, I would just like to reiterate three things that have been constantly mentioned. Our informal sector and who we call our hustlers have been going through pain from some of these lenders who are not licensed by Central Bank of Kenya. Honorable Speaker, if a business is lending money as a cooperative, they are regulated through the Microfinance Act. If a business is lending money as a bank, they are regulated through the Banking Act and through the Central Bank of Kenya Act. If a business is lending as a SACCO, they are regulated under SASRA. But you have these others that are non-deposit taking creditors, where they are not deposit taking and therefore they do not fall under the purview of the Microfinance Act, and they're not digital lenders and therefore they don't fall under Central Bank of Kenya under regulations. And therefore that is where we have people that have been lending money to Kenyans at where the rate of interest becomes even higher than the principal amount. Now this Business Laws Amendment Bill, and maybe Honorable Speaker, the people who have suffered the most has been our border riders. You know, you've seen people who they go take that by lipa pole pole, boda. Once they are about to finish repaying the loan, and maybe they skip one or two installment, they have their motorcycle repossessed. Honorable Speaker, when you and I go and take an asset finance through our bank, and we are not able to honor an installment on two, we don't have our cars towed. But this happens really, especially to our border sector. So this passage of this particular law is now going to bring those non-deposit taking microfinance institutions under the purview of Central Bank of Kenya. And that is why one of the amendments that you see in the business laws is also to amend the Central Bank of Kenya Act to give them that additional mandate of regulating these ones, so that we make sure that the interest rate that these particular lenders charge to
Honorable Undo, what's your point about that? You may take your seat. We hear Honorable Undo.
Not really a point of order, but I want the chair of the committee to inform me and to inform the people of Kenya so that they can be aware. And this is a question I've been asked after I contributed. Somebody sent me a text. Is M-Pesa going to be regulated, and this, is it a microfinance? It's going to be regulated, plus these other digital platforms like Tala, I don't know, whatever they are. Please just inform the people of Kenya so they are aware. Thank you.
Proceed, Chair.
Honorable Speaker, this means that every credit provided by any individual will now fall. If you don't follow under the Microfinance Act, that means they're not a microfinance. If you don't follow under the Central Bank Kenya Act, that means they're not a bank. If they don't follow under the SACCOs Regulatory Authority Act, that means they're not SACCOs. Now they'll have to fall under the purview of the Central Bank of Kenya. So to answer your question, the TALAs of today now will have to adhere to the guidelines of Central Bank of Kenya, including to make sure one of the guidelines is that there is full disclosure, because one of the challenges that we've also seen on these particular apps that people borrow from, there is no full disclosure of what the cost is, of what the interest is, and that is why people end up paying interest up to even 1,000%, Honorable Speaker. Another thing that Honorable Speaker would like to contribute, and I think this was raised by the Honorable Mureu. It came earlier today on the Tax Procedures Amendment Bill and going to come to the Committee of the Whole House tomorrow. I would like to inform our Kenyans, and especially our farmers, our avocado farmers, our tea farmers, our macadamia farmers, that the proposed amendment in the Tax Procedures Amendment Bill is actually protecting them by exempting them from ETIM's requirements. Because if that they are not exempted, they're going to be disadvantaged, because the manufacturers, will not want to buy from them, because now the Finance Act of 2023 provided that no expenses can be claimed if not generated by ETIMs. So the committee will be further amending tomorrow to increase the threshold from the 1 million shillings turnover per year provided for in the bill to 5 million shillings, Honorable Speaker. And the reason for 5 million shillings is because 5 million shillings is the VAT threshold. So if you have turnover of less than 5 million shillings, that's when, of more than 5 million shillings, that's when you get to pay VAT. So we are exempting our farmers, our avocado farmers, our macadamia farmers, our milk farmers, our tea farmers from the requirements of ETIMs, those that have a turnover of less than 5 million shillings. And I'm sure, I just wanted to make sure that I inform my good friend, the member for Katanga. So lastly, Honorable Speaker, one of the matters that we're also raising has been the requirement for core capital, increasing it from 1 billion shillings to 10 billion shillings.
Order, Chair. There's a point of order from... yes.
There is
The microphone is not on.
Use the next mic. There's a mic on your left.
The point I'm making, Speaker, is that there is a lot of noise and it's being run by majority leader. And the other day, when I entered here, he told me I'm making noise like I'm in my market. And that one angered me so much in the village because people started attacking me on that. So he has entered making noise, and I've been waiting for this opportunity to tell him that he should not make noise in this house because it's unfair to attack a colleague.
Very well. He has. You have been heard. You have been heard. But I can see the majority leader just seated somewhere. You may proceed. Proceed, Chair.
Honorable.
I think those who are just bragging rights, they have been satisfied. Proceed, Chair.
Honorable Speaker, I've seen my majority leader walk in with the whip, and all they were doing is whipping members so that we make sure that we have enough quorum so that we pass these very good laws for the public of Kenya. Honorable Speaker, they were not making noise like the honorable member is trying to insinuate. So, Honorable Speaker, most importantly, these bills have been processed by the Committee of National Planning in a record 2 weeks. But most importantly, we have done public participation in 6 counties. And once we went to these 6 counties, we got the views of Kenyans. This time around, we prepared explanation notes where now members of the public were able to read for themselves what these amendments were and contribute to that. And also the input that was done also by the Committee of Trade. It has really enriched this particular report. So I want to guarantee the people of Kenya and this House that this is going to be one of the most progressive laws that the 13th Parliament of the Republic of Kenya has passed for the good welfare of the great people of the Republic of Kenya. With that, I beg to reply, Honorable Speaker.
Order, honorable members. Honorable members, we have requisite numbers, and I proceed to put the question, which is that the House Business, the Business Laws Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 49 of 2024, be now read a second time. Will as many as without opinion say aye? Will as many as with contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next order.
A bill for an act of parliament to amend various laws and to make amendments to laws related to financial institutions and for connected purposes. Order number 13, the Tax Laws Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 47 of 2024, second reading.
Mover.
Mover. Beg to move that bill, Chair.
Honorable members, we have moved to the Tax Laws Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 47 of 2024. Mover.
So, Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the Tax Laws Amendment Bill be now read a second time. Again, Honorable Speaker, this is one of the most progressive pieces of legislation that the Committee of Finance and National Planning have actually processed. We have brought in an array of amendments that's going to make sure that we lower the cost of living for the people of Kenya, we lower the tax burden of the people of Kenya, whereas maintaining principles of supporting local manufacturers, Honorable Speaker. One of the amendments that you're going to find that this House will be, that the committee will be proposing, for example, will be on a digital service tax. We've listened to the Kenyans on the proposed digital withholding tax on what they're calling digital service tax, Honorable Speaker. And the risk that we found that if that is not amended is that we have those shops, for example, that are online. They sell, maybe a phone in Westlands sells shops both online and physically at the shop. So if we introduce this digital service tax, it means that if you buy from the shop, then you'll not be paying digital service tax, but if you order the same product online, you'll be paying digital service tax, Honorable Speaker. And this now committee will be would be recommending to shelve that, Honorable Speaker, for a future time, Honorable Speaker. We've also had a great conversation about the matter of significant economic presence, and one of the amendments that the committee will be proposing is to define what this significant economic presence is, so that it is aligned with a VAT threshold of a turnover of 5 million shillings, Honorable Speaker. In a bid to fight illicit brews, Honorable Speaker, the committee is proposing to change the way excise duty is charged on alcoholic beverages from being from volume based to being a percentage of alcohol, so that those alcoholic beverages that have a higher alcohol content will attract higher excise duty than the ones that have lower alcohol content, Honorable Speaker. And most importantly, we are also extending remission of duty for when local products like sorghum and like potatoes and all those others are used as raw material in manufacturing of alcohol, Honorable Speaker, so that we can encourage sorghum farming and we can make this particular sector contribute towards the economy, Honorable Speaker. And another pain that has been existing, Honorable Speaker, to many Kenyans is the requirement to pay withholding tax within 5 working days, Honorable Speaker. So one of the things that we are all recommending is to make all these taxes payable at by the 5th of the following month, Honorable Speaker, so that we have some liquidity being given to our businesses, Honorable Speaker. Another example, Honorable Speaker, that we've done, there has been a lot of online discussion about tiles, Honorable Speaker, and one of the amendments that will be recommended to this House tomorrow, the current proposal is to have 35% excise duty on tiles, Honorable Speaker, but that is very stiff. That will mean that we're going to increase the cost of tiles and they're going to increase the cost of affordable housing. So we'll also be recommending amendments to that particular clause, Honorable Speaker, so that in as much as we are supporting local manufacturers, we also make sure that we protect our affordable housing program, Honorable Speaker. We also reject, Honorable Speaker, the proposal by National Treasury to increase excise duty on data and airtime to 20%, Honorable Speaker. We are saying let the status quo remain. Let the excise duty on airtime and data remain at 15%, Honorable Speaker, so that we can also encourage the uptake of the digital of the digital jobs and the digitalization of our economy, Honorable Speaker. We have also been able to demonstrate, Honorable Speaker, that Laffer curve is real, that continuous increase in the rate of tax does not necessarily lead to an increase in tax collection, Honorable Speaker. When we check the last time excise duty on data and airtime was increased by this House, I think it was around 2019 or 2020, we actually saw a surge or a downward in terms of collection of that excise duty, Honorable Speaker. Because what people will do when they realize that the airtime is expensive, instead of talking, when you make a call, instead of talking for 5 minutes, you talk for 4 minutes. So it doesn't lead to an extra Honorable Speaker. So these are one of the things that we have disagreed, Honorable Speaker, with the National Treasury, and we'll be recommending that to this House, Honorable Speaker, that these particular matters be reviewed, Honorable Speaker. The issue of eggs also came up from public participation. The difference between the table eggs and the fertilized eggs, Honorable Speaker, and we also will be recommending introduction of an excise duty not on fertilized eggs but on table eggs, so that we protect Kenya from the cheap imports that we're getting this country.
There's a point of order, and this can be accepted at any time.
Mr. Speaker,
yes.
As you are trying to follow the movement, the mover presenting this, he's moving it almost in amended form. In fact, it's like removing the report of the committee and not the bill itself. So that actually, if you go by the bill, it's not easy, because he's bringing in things in the committee report which many members probably have not been interacted with. I wish it would not be just in order to remove the bill as it is, and in the process then he may mention those bits, but not discussing the committee report. We need your guidance on that, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Speaker.
Very well.
Honorable Speaker, going through...
Order, Chair. Let's hear Honorable Makali. What is it, Honorable Makali?
Yeah, I think, Honorable Speaker, I agree with the Honorable Nyikal. The best way to move the bill would be able to move it as it is, and say now what the committee is proposing as amendment. Otherwise, now we are getting confused.
Very well.
Because we are looking at the bill, but...
It's the same as what Honorable Nyikal said?
So that we are able to move together.
Very well. Chair, you may expound from the bill and then go to the amendments, but so far you are doing well, so proceed. Yes, Leader.
But you know, Speaker, the chair of the committee is not moving the bill in any amended form. What he's doing is he has moved the bill and he's also speaking informed by what the committee report said. And the Honorable Nyikal this morning was complaining that the committee report had not been circulated. Now the committee report was circulated, and that is what the chair is simply doing. He is informing the House and the country that these are the provisions that in the bill. The committee, having interacted with members of the public through public participation, has proposed certain amendments. And I think it is only fair we allow the mover to move it and inform the country what the committee has done following public participation. Remember, the Supreme Court, none other than the Supreme Court, have guided us on what qualitative and quantitative public participation entails. And that is all that the chair of the committee is doing. He is simply informing the country that what you told us during public participation was not in vain. We will be amending. He's not saying we have amended. He's saying we will be amending. And the Honorable Nyikal, the Honorable Makali know we will amend when we go to committee of the whole House. After debate, let them allow the chair to finish. They can interact with the report and challenge anything that he says that is not in the report.
Order, honorable members. I think the chair, Order Makali, we cannot debate on that. We have heard you, and remember I gave you a chance. You spoke on that. I think the chair is doing well. Speak on the bill, but also talk elaborately on any amendments that are therein, so that we may move forward. Proceed, Chair.
I thank you, Honorable Speaker, for your protection. You know, Honorable Speaker, I have the privilege of not just sitting in the committee when you are doing public participation and moving around 6 counties for public participation, but also interacting with what the members of the public said. So it's therefore important that as I speak to these particular matters, I explain what is contained in the bill, what members of the public said, and what the committee is recommending, so that this House is well informed of these particular matters, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the introduction of SHE and housing levy, Honorable Speaker, and the increase of NSS has led to a pain for many Kenyans, especially, Honorable Speaker, because unfortunately those three deductions, Honorable Speaker, they are first of all based on gross amount, and they are not tax allowable for pay as you earn, apart from NSSM, Honorable Speaker. So this bill, Honorable Speaker, is now providing that those statutory deductions now be tax allowable for pay as you earn, so that at least we can try to increase the disposable income that's available to employed Kenyans, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, once their take home increases, once their disposable income increases, Honorable Speaker, it's going to ease on the cost of living and also increase their purchasing power, Honorable Speaker. Clause 3 of the bill, Honorable Speaker, is proposing to amend the limit for non-taxable benefits related to employment, increasing it from that 6,000 to 60,000 shillings per year. This adjustment, Honorable Speaker, will address the value of non-cash benefits such as airtime or data provided to employees by their employers, which was last reviewed in 2006. This revision will seek to account for the impact of inflation across over the years, Honorable Speaker. Additionally, this proposal will include an increase in the value of non-taxable meal benefits provided to employers, to employees, raising them from a limit of 48,000 shillings to 60,000 shillings per year, Honorable Speaker. This amount again was last reviewed in 2006, and therefore this adjustment would want to speak to adjustments in inflation, Honorable Speaker. The committee is really in support of these proposals, recognizing that they have a great potential to increase employees' disposable income and provide the much more needed financial relief, Honorable Speaker. The repeal, Honorable Speaker, of the digital service tax and its replacement with a significant economic presence tax at the rate of 30% on 10% of the deemed profit, Honorable Speaker, is contained in Clause 5. The committee acknowledges that digital services providers typically enjoy higher profit margins due to lower production costs compared to companies with physical presence, and therefore they adjustment is to align the deemed profit more closely with that would be expected if the companies faced similar cost structure, Honorable Speaker. This is a revenue enhancement measure to ensure that digital service providers pay also their fair share of tax, Honorable Speaker. I had spoken to the issue of minimum tax. The committee strongly supports the measure for introduction of a minimum top-up tax, noting that it is global adoption in over 60 countries where main key international companies operate. Failing to implement this tax in Kenya could undermine the fair application of tax obligations and potentially allowing constituent companies located in Kenya to underpay their share of revenues, Honorable Speaker. Clause 14 is speaking to introduction of 5% tax on interest income earned by resident individuals from bonds, notes, and similar securities used to fund infrastructure and social services, commonly referred to as infrastructure and green bond, Honorable Speaker. This proposal has raised a significant concern regarding the potential impact in the economy and investment climate, Honorable Speaker. Taxing infrastructure bonds and forex transactions, as outlined in the bill, could have far-reaching implications for foreign investment inflows, particularly from portfolio investors. These investors typically evaluate various incentives before deciding where to invest, Honorable Speaker, their funds. So the introduction of these such taxes may make Kenya a less attractive destination for investment, discouraging much-needed foreign capital. The stock market is also, Honorable Speaker, likely to feel the ripple effects. Increased costs associated with trading forex and taxation infrastructure bonds may prompt portfolio investors to reduce their market exposure, and this could lead to a decline in stock prices, reduced market liquidity, and heightened volatility, Honorable Speaker. Similarly, the bond market may face challenges. Taxing infrastructure bonds could diminish their appeal to investors seeking stable fixed income instruments, Honorable Speaker. This in turn could lead to a higher borrowing cost for infrastructure projects, undermining the government's ability to secure funding for critical development activities, Honorable Speaker. Other countries that have implemented similar measures offer valuable lessons. For instance, India's securities transaction tax, or STT, on forex transaction has been criticized for dampening market liquidity and deterring foreign investment. Similarly, countries like Brazil and South Africa have experimented this with taxes on infrastructure bonds to support development projects. But these measures have really struggled to attract sufficient investment, Honorable Speaker. In light of these considerations, while the proposed taxes may generate additional revenue for government, they also risk undermining foreign investment inflows, market stability, and economic growth. So as members of Parliament, it is crucial to carefully assess the potential implications of these measures and balancing revenue objectives with the need to maintain a conducive environment for investment and development. So consequently, the committee decided that this amendment need to be dropped so that we prioritize long-term economic stability and growth over short-term revenue gains, Honorable Speaker. Therefore, based on these considerations, the committee recommends deleting the proposal to tax interest income earned from infrastructure bonds. This decision reflects the need to safeguard investment inflows, maintain market stability, and support government efforts to fund critical development projects through cost-effective borrowing mechanism, Honorable Speaker. Clause 20 of the bill proposes to introduce VAT on several aviation and aerospace-related goods and services, including helicopters, safecraft, including satellites, Subito and sparecraft launch vehicles, Honorable Speaker. Direction fund encompasses instruments and appliances for aircraft and various aircraft spare parts imported by aircraft providers and businesses involved in aircraft maintenance. Additionally, it proposes the inclusion of VAT on air ticketing. This imposition of VAT on these items could significantly increase the operation costs for aviation companies, leading to higher prices for air ticketing and making air travel less affordable for consumers. This could negatively impact the aviation sector, particularly in competitive market where price sensitivity is high. Furthermore, aircraft business and repair business, which rely on imported specialized parts, could face high input costs, leading to increased maintenance fees and potentially reduced investment in business expansion. This added tax burden could also lead to delays in maintenance schedules, compromising the safety and reliability of the aviation sector, Honorable Speaker. The introduction of VAT on spacecraft, satellites, and launch vehicles may deter investment in Kenya's emerging aerospace sector, which require significant capital, Honorable Speaker. And then noting, Honorable Speaker, the volatility, Honorable Speaker, of this particular sector, and the fact that if you want to repair your plane, you can easily fly to a neighboring country and repair, then we have realized that putting this VAT could really couple that particular sector, Honorable Speaker, and make us unattractive as an investment destination. Honorable Speaker, the intention to impose VAT on these goods, Honorable Speaker, is therefore rejected, and therefore this committee will be proposing that we drop that particular amendment, Honorable Speaker. The bill is proposing to impose 25% excise duty on coal or 27,000 shillings metric ton, whichever is higher, Honorable Speaker, whereas there is need for environmental conservation, considering that coal is a very hazardous product in the environment, Honorable Speaker. There is also need to look at what rates we need to apply on this particular product, because again, increasing excise duty on coal would have a potential to increase the cost of cement, Honorable Speaker, and in addition to the cost of energy, because most of, especially the huge manufacturers, use coal as their source of energy, Honorable Speaker, and therefore this is one of the amendments that the committee will be hoping to bring to the floor of the House, Honorable Speaker. The bill also is introducing radio development levy, increasing it from 1.5% to 2.5%, Honorable Speaker. The committee notes that this represents a 67% increase in levy, which will significantly raise the cost of goods and services that rely on rail transport for distribution. The increase in this levy, Honorable Speaker, is likely to have a cascading effect on the prices of goods, and particularly in industries that rely heavily on rail freight, such as manufacturing, agriculture, and construction, Honorable Speaker. Again, realizing the need to raise revenue to fund our expansion, Honorable Speaker, it is important that this House considers reducing this, and therefore the committee will be proposing to increase this radio development levy from not from 1.5 to 2.5%, but to 5 to 2%, Honorable Speaker. As we deliberate this tax amendment bill of 2024, Honorable Speaker, it is also crucial that we prioritize measures that effectively expand our tax base and enhance revenue generation. This may involve innovative tax policy approaches, such as incentivizing compliance, simplifying tax procedures, and overcoming barriers that hinder our revenue growth, Honorable Speaker. So, Honorable Speaker, these many things that this committee has done, Honorable Speaker, again, is aimed at reducing the cost of living, increasing the disposable income available to Kenyans, and especially on salaried Kenyans, Honorable Speaker, and making it easier to comply with our taxes, Honorable Speaker. And with this, I would really like to thank the members of the public that came to us in their thousands to give us their views. As I promise, you've seen in our report that your views were not in vain. They will be considered by the committee and this Honorable House, Honorable Speaker. And also to thank our members of the committee, led by my very Vice Chair, Honorable Angat, who went through the country, Honorable Speaker, to seek the views of Kenya, Honorable Speaker. And even most importantly, our Secretariat. Honorable Speaker, this morning, we sat from last night to 6 a.m. this morning. We sat up to morning last night as well, just to make sure that we bring a credible report to this House, Honorable Speaker, and we incorporate the views of Kenya, Honorable Speaker. So we really want to thank the members of our committee and the staff for the great work that you've done, Honorable Speaker. We were asking ourselves in the morning what we should do, because it was not burning the midnight oil, it was burning the it was the morning oil, Honorable Speaker, because we actually had to transmit for 2 days to make sure that these particular reports are ready for the adoption of this House. And that, Honorable Speaker, I beg to move and request my leader, the leader of the majority party, the great member of parliament for the great people of Kikuyu, the Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah, to second.
Leader. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I rise to second. And I must agree with the chair, indeed, as I thank the chair of the Finance and National Planning Committee, together with all the members of that committee, for their immense work. Honorable Speaker, many a times a lot of work is put in legislative work, but nobody ever appreciates it. And even members of the public out there imagine that you only come here to speak for 5 minutes and vote without having applied your minds and put in a lot of work. Members of the Finance and National Planning Committee sat this morning until 5 a.m. from last night. and we must indeed commend the chair. You can see the chair is not looking his usual self. He looks a bit sleepy. If you also look at his vice chair, who was here as early as 9 a.m. together with the member for Keses, they all look sleepy, and the member for Baringo North. They look sleepy because I can see the Honorable Ariko. Actually, he was almost on the verge of sleeping off, because these members and many other members, including the Honorable Mboni, who is still in the House, sat up to 5 a.m. this morning to be able to finalize with this work and be able to give us the kind of output they have given us, and I must commend them. Honorable Speaker, as the chair has said and the mover, this bill speaks to very important issues. And I know, just like we had with the Business Laws Amendment Bill, members who never take time to interact with legislation pick up things from social media and speak to those issues as if they are things that are factual. And when you are a member of parliament, you speak about unfactual things in a manner that makes people believe that you know what you are speaking about. Like I had a member here speaking about avocado farmers in the previous bill on business laws. I think it was a member for Katanga. And clearly you can tell that is a member who has not taken his time at all to interact with the bill or even to bother to read the committee's report that was tabled yesterday. And if the member for Katanga had read, he would not use prime national TV time to mislead the public, to play populist politics, Honorable Speaker. And I thank the chair of the committee, because he came down very fast. We were watching him from my office, and he came down very fast, and he has responded to those issues as he responded. Honorable Speaker, many issues that were raised by members of the public, and that's why I was keen on having the mover of the bill speak to the issues that were raised by members of the public during public participation. Because even the courts have told us that public participation should not be superficial. It must be quantitative and qualitative. And the qualitative bit of it is being able to show members of the public that what you told us during public participation, we have taken those issues into account as we legislated, as we passed the bill. Therefore, we are not debating this bill in its original form. We are debating it in its original form as informed by the committee with what they have done. And I also wish to speak to a few things that the committee has spoken to. The digital service tax, Honorable Speaker, that was proposed. The committee is proposing in their report, for those who have bothered to read the report, to remove this digital service tax. For the simple reason that, for instance, as the chair would have told you, if you are selling iPhones online and somebody else is selling their iPhone from a shop, an establishment in town, if you happen to be charged the digital service tax that was being proposed, then nobody will be selling anything online. Everybody may opt to go and open up establishments or shops in town to sell where you not pay. And therefore the committee is proposing that you remove that, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, on air tickets again, on passenger, VAT on passenger air tickets. Again, the same thing. If I am running a tours and travel business in Nairobi, and somebody else is running the same business in Arusha, or I have a branch in Arusha, if you put VAT on that air ticket in Nairobi, I will opt to simply process the ticket online and charge that ticket from my Arusha office, and we'll be driving away employment from our country. And the committee diligently and with a lot of foresight have removed some of these things to do with air ticketing, VAT on air ticketing, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, many of our people are selling, and you've seen vendors selling tiles along our major roads, everywhere that people new housing schemes are coming up, or new settlement areas. If you go to Kitengela, Honorable Speaker, if you drive along Kiambu Road, if you drive along Kambura Mutarakwa Road, you will see very many small shops, hardware shops that have cropped up. And many of these shops crop up from selling tiles. And therefore, the proposal that was there to impose a 5%, 35% excise duty on tiles, or 300 shillings per kilo of tiles, Honorable Speaker, that would have meant for a 25 kg box of tiles, the price would have gone up by 7,500 shillings. The committee has proposed to remove that and limit that in what the committee is proposing to either 5% or 200 shillings or whichever is higher. If I remember well, the chair will be speaking to that when he moves his amendments tomorrow. Honorable Speaker, I know the committee had proposed to remove the excise duty on coal, and we are in discussions with the chair because of issues, and I know coal is used as a raw material, especially in cement production, and we do not want our cement production to go up. But rather than removing the entire tax because of issues to do with global warming and climate change, Honorable Speaker, and the issue of carbon emissions, because coal is one of the culprits of carbon emissions, Honorable Speaker. And to discourage, we are in discussions with the chair, maybe we find a compromise where probably instead of removing entire tax, we can reduce the tax as was proposed. And I want to believe that you arrive at an agreement between the chair and the committee and the House as we move on, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, we have proposals that the committee has also proposed on the taxation of alcohol to deal with the question, heavy question of illicit drinks and illicit alcohol in our country. Because, Honorable Speaker, we have taxed alcohol in terms of volumes and not the alcohol content in the past. And what has happened is that we have encouraged people to move away from beers to hard liquor that is cheaper. And that hard liquor that is cheaper also tends to be very harmful to people's health, Honorable Speaker. And that is why you see people go to buy those things they call tunusu, tukwata, and that kakwata or kanusu, Honorable Speaker, the alcohol content you find for some is at a high of 70, 75, 80%. Whereas the beer that some people here enjoy, Honorable Speaker, I cannot tell you the content of milk in my tea. But I know, for instance, many beers at the rate of 4 to 4.5%. And the committee is proposing, well, I can see the Honorable Undo smiling. I don't know if he wants to disagree on the alcohol content on beer. I have considered, I do not know the content of alcohol in beer. I am not a partaker of those things. But, Honorable Speaker, I was speaking to the issue that the committee is proposing. Let us tax the alcohol content in all alcoholic drinks, so that if a drink has 40% alcohol content, tax will be higher than the tax in your ordinary beer or another drink, alcoholic drink, that has 2% or 3% alcohol. And that will generate more income, discourage people from getting into the illicit brews that have a very high level of alcohol content, and which in many instances is unchecked. Honorable Speaker, there is also the question that the committee have seen has proposed on withholding tax, especially even on for manufacturers who are being asked to pay their withholding tax within a period, I think, of 24 hours. And now the committee is proposing that this is done within the first 5 business or working days after the end of the month. And this, Honorable Speaker, will not only allow also manufacturers to have a little bit more of working capital, but also reduce or increase the time for them to, or rather the time they have to remit this withholding tax. And, Honorable Speaker, this will be a good thing for manufacturers because, as I mentioned, they also have a little bit of more time to utilize the resources that they have withheld as part of their working capital, which will come at no cost to them. But after the 5 working days, they will be levied a penalty and interest if they do not pay. Honorable Speaker, one of the other issues when this bill was published that many people spoke about, and those who appeared before the public participation across the counties, where the chair and the vice chair led their teams in the Finance and National Planning Committee, was the question of our game parks and game reserves, that you are levying VAT on park fees. And, Honorable Speaker, I remember watching on TV one of the 2 operators telling the committee, and I'm glad that the committee agreed with them, that the animals that we go to, is it to watch or to view or to do what? The animals that we see at Masai Mara Game Reserve are the same animals that migrate to Serengeti. The lion in the Mara is the same lion in Serengeti. Therefore, if you levy park fees, VAT on park fees in Masai Mara, what will happen is that tourists will move away from Masai Mara and they will simply opt to book and go to Serengeti across the River Mara. And the wild beast migration, Honorable Speaker, you know, is migration of those wild beasts from Serengeti to the Mara, from the Mara back to the Serengeti. It's the same animals. So we have no reason, if in the region our neighbors are not levying VAT on park fees, to make our parks more expensive than those of our neighbors, so that we don't discourage people to move to our neighboring countries. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with people going to the Serengeti or other parks in the neighborhood. But of course, our Masai Mara is the best destination in the whole world. And even our neighbors know, and they concede. And that is why we must encourage many tourists around the world to visit the Mara. After the Mara, then you can follow the animals into Serengeti. But you start with the Mara before you go to Serengeti. And Honorable Speaker, that is because we are the most hospitable people in the world. And it is known. And you know, we also have the most beautiful animals, including those wild beasts and lions. Honorable Speaker, the other issue I want to speak to, let me not speak on the issue that the chair already spoke to on the e-teams invoices and all that, some of which we have touched on in the morning, the avocados and agricultural inputs, again, that the Speaker spoke to in the other bill, the mover spoke to. But on enhancement of investment incentives, Honorable Speaker, if you look at clause 15.4, the bill also sought to reduce the rate of capital gains tax from 15% to 5% for firms certified by the Nairobi International Financial Center Authority, and further reduce the threshold of investments that qualify for the lower rate from 5 billion shillings to 3 billion shillings invested in at least one entity incorporated or registered in Kenya within a 2-year period. And additionally, the transfer of investments must occur after 5 years from the date of the initial investment. And Honorable Speaker, this speaks to the whole policy of seeking to attract more investments or create investment incentives for people to be able to invest in our country, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I'm skipping so many things to avoid being repetitive and also to give others an opportunity, and therefore want to end it there. I think I've spoken to the most salient issues that I had wanted to speak to. But more importantly, Honorable Speaker, there is the issue of gratuity. Honorable Speaker, over the past years, people have worked for years, including members of parliament who serve this house for 5 years or 10 years, and you retire, or your term comes to an end, and you are paid a gratuity at the end of your term. The committee is now proposing that Kenyans who earn gratuity at the end of their term, since that gratuity was part of the money they contributed while in active service, and they were paying taxes, it is not fair that at the end of their service, you still tax that gratuity. And therefore, that gratuity is now being exempted from tax. And honorable members, you know, even yourselves, those who opt for gratuity, other than myself and Honorable Nyikal, who are on pension, or an Honorable Makali Mulu, who have opted for option, for the pension option, if those who opt for the gratuity option, you will now enjoy your gratuity tax-free. And for all Kenyans, it will be that way, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the question of significant economic presence tax, I think it's important that I clarify this was for non-residents, not for Kenyan residents. And therefore, it's important to mention that. Honorable Speaker, the other important thing I would have wanted to mention was on the reliefs, both on the housing levy fund relief and the social health insurance fund relief. Honorable Speaker, before the passage, as it is today, we have no relief on either housing fund levy because they got lost with the loss of the finance bill. We have no relief on the social health insurance fund relief. And now the proposed amendments in this bill are making us get reliefs that will be tax deductible, Honorable Speaker, or actually making not just the relief. In fact, what the bill is doing is to align what was referred to in the Act as NHIF to SHIF, or the Social Health Insurance Fund, that the reliefs you enjoyed under NHIF, you also enjoy them now under the Social Health Insurance Fund. But more importantly, Honorable Speaker, and the point I wanted to make, is the money we are putting back to the pockets of Kenyans. Because again, when the finance committee traversed this country and people told them that they are crying, that they are being overtaxed, but they want money back to their pockets. And the committee agreed, in line with what is being proposed in this bill, put back money in the pockets of Kenyans. And for every contribution now that you make either to the housing fund levy, or the housing fund through the housing levy fund, did I put it correctly? The levy that goes to the housing fund, that deduction on your payslip is now tax deductible. The contribution will be tax deductible upon passage of this bill, and that's why I urge all of you to support this bill. The contributions Kenyans are making, the 2.75% contribution towards the Taifa Care or the social house, social insurance, social hospital insurance fund, SHIF, or to the social health authority, SHA, or Taifa Care. Our contributions now, the 2.75% for those of us who are on pay slips, Honorable Speaker, to Taifa Care, that contribution now will be tax deductible. That means, Honorable Speaker, that before you pay your pay as you earn, you are now almost being taxed twice, because you had to pay SHIF, pay the housing fund, then they deduct your pay as you earn. Now those will be factored in above, on top of your pay slip, before they start levying pay as you earn. And therefore that means for someone, for instance, who is earning about 100,000, you have about 3,000 shillings back to your pocket. And this is putting money back into people's pockets. And these are some of the good things we told people, Honorable Speaker, that were lost with the finance bill, because there were gains where we are putting back money back into the people's pockets. But of course, when Kenyans told us reject, we rejected everything. But because we know better, and we know what is good for Kenyans, we know Kenyans deserve some money back out of what they are paying in taxes and in contributions that they are contributing to the social health insurance fund, contributions that they are contributing to create employment in the housing fund, Honorable Speaker, and even such contributions as I spoke about in the other bill on what you call the contributions that you make to post-retirement medical schemes. These now become tax deductible, and I did mention here that those tax deductible deductions are up to 20,000 shillings a month, so that we encourage people to save in post-retirement medical schemes to kill or to preempt the culture of dependency, Honorable Speaker. The reason why many people, Honorable Speaker, including former members of Parliament, resort to the cash transfer program when you are reach the age of 65, 70, is because you never saved even post-retirement medical cover. And you find yourself, you are now sickly, you are elderly and sickly, no private insurance company will take up you for medical cover. And because you had not saved into a post-retirement medical scheme, then you are left destitute and you are left selling your hard-earned properties to take care of your medical bills at an old age. We are now encouraging people to save and making all these deductions tax deductible and, of course, putting more money into people's pockets. Let me second, Honorable Speaker, I beg to second, as I encourage all of us to support this bill. It's quite a progressive bill, Honorable Speaker, one that speaks to the tax policies of our country, tax policies that are now trying to create equity and fairness to ensure that everybody in this country who is earning an income becomes a contributor to our tax revenues, so that we do not overburden a few people at the expense of raising revenues for our country. With those many remarks, Honorable Speaker, I second.
Very well, honorable members. I now propose the question that the Tax Laws Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 47 of 2024, be now read a second time. And the first bite goes to the Honorable John Namoit Oh, he left, and therefore we can have the first bite go to Honorable McClap. No, I'm okay. The list is very clear. The Honorable Naimoit has been here, but he just left. McClap, you may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First and foremost, Mr. Speaker, I want to declare that I support the report of the committee and the proposal to start the Finance Committee under our chairman were able to go through this country. And Mr. Speaker, I want to put it in record, Mr. Speaker, that Kenyans, wherever we went, are saying that we are willing to pay taxes, but show us what you'll do with the taxes. Mr. Speaker, Kenyans are very keen to ensure that there are money in their pockets. Kenyans, Mr. Speaker, in public participation, came out candidly with proposals, right from Isholo to Mombasa to Voi, what is called Taita Taveta, to Siaya, to Bungoma, to Kericho, and everywhere we went, Mr. Speaker, Kenyans laid facts on the table before us. And they are saying, Mr. Speaker, we want to see our taxes trickling to the ground to provide medicine, to do our roads. Mr. Speaker, Kenyans are saying the cost of doing business has become expensive because of overtaxation. Mr. Speaker, it is also important for Kenyans to know that even members of parliament are Kenyans and they are feeling the heat of taxation, Mr. Speaker. We are not exceptional for any law of taxation, Mr. Speaker. For instance, Mr. Speaker, on the issue of ceramic tiles and other products of similar kind, Mr. Speaker, it became very clear, Mr. Speaker, that there is only one company that manufactures those ceramic tiles in Kenya. And if we don't allow these other people to bring other tiles of various sizes, including the ones that are used for our dining places, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, they came out in their numbers and said, no, the country is not ripe. The country is not ripe for this kind of excess duty on imported products. Mr. Speaker, it became a reality that we should not create monopoly. We should create a friendly business environment. So, Speaker, in 2023 finance bill, we tried to impose about high taxes on imported products of being used to make cement. So, Speaker, the consequence was, because there was only one manufacturer in Kenya, it resulted in loss of revenue. So, Mr. Speaker, we say this time round, we want to make it fair for Kenyans, and we listen to Kenyans. And we say, on this particular one, we drop some of the proposals that will come to the floor. So our committee resolved to drop or delete, so that we build, drop or delete is the same. In other words, remove it. Mr. Speaker, that will give people the construction industry. And Mr. Speaker, the Kenya Kwanza administration is embarking on a massive affordable housing projects. We could not be increasing the products that will be used to do the housing project. At the same time, we want to have affordable housing. It will be a contradiction of its own kind. So to ensure that the affordable houses remain, the prices remain the same, we must be able to ensure that the materials used will not rise at any time, Mr. Speaker, so that this country and the vision of the President of building enough affordable housing, Mr. Speaker, throughout the Republic of Kenya becomes a reality and becomes even much cheaper to do it, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, that proposal
which will be moved by the committee at the right stage, Mr. Speaker, is meant to protect the business environment and not to remove many people in business by protecting a monopoly. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, even the definition of small businesses, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we looked at the proposal, Mr. Speaker, and said, those business people with turnover of less than 5 million per year be classified under small businesses, and therefore what is called, we remove them from the E-teams integration and provide them with what is called a reverse invoice. So Speaker, this, turnover of 5 million is not a lot of money. It is the mamambokas. It is the bodabodas. And if we don't protect these people, then we shall have crippled the local economy in our villages, in our towns, and in our places. So this means, Mr. Speaker, we protect the business people in this particular country, Mr. Speaker. Even, Mr. Speaker, on what the majority leader and my chairman has said about this Jumia and what is called digital service tax, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if that was allowed to go through, Mr. Speaker, what could have happened? It means you will be taxing people within a perimeter of an area that will be served by the internet and be selling phones within a particular area. But when you move outside that particular area, Mr. Speaker, then you don't charge them. That means you will actually create a tax regime that is discriminatory. That you allow people outside a certain perimeter of an area to enjoy selling their products, and when you go to another confined area, you tax them. That is what is called discrimination in doing business, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, many things have been said. The helicopters, the VAT on helicopter and spacecraft. So, Speaker, this is a very volatile area that we must protect. So, Speaker, if you make it expensive here, someone will just pay a pilot maybe 200,000. He flies to Entebbe, does his repairs, and comes back to Kenya. Who will have lost business? Kenya. No, Entebbe will do business. No, I'm not Entebbe.
Order, Honorable Bukosi.
Uganda, Mr. Speaker. Let me make it very clear that
proceed.
So, Speaker, even you
what's your point of order, Honorable Bukosi, on this Entebbe?
Honorable Speaker, the member for Baringo North is referring to Entebbe as being in Uganda. The one in Uganda is called Entebbe, not Entebbe. Entebbe is in Kenya. So, well, and in the slopes of Mount Elgon.
Very well, the semantics.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I know it very well, Mr. Speaker. So, let me use another example. A helicopter can fly here to Arusha in Kilimanjaro here, does the repairs, and comes back to Kenya. Who has lost business? Kenya. Mr. Speaker, and I also want to say that one time Entebbe in Kenya will have an airport and they will have business, Mr. Speaker, where my good brother comes from. Mr. Speaker, there came back fees, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, other than agriculture, the next economic activity that brings in a lot of income to this country, Mr. Speaker, if you can give me 1 minute, is tourism sector. Mr. Speaker, if we kill the tourism sector, then we shall lose business of tourism to our neighbors who have the same characteristics. Allowing
Very well. The Honorable Makali Molo. They are great speakers on this, and you just take your time. Proceed.
Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for your consideration. I really want to appreciate this opportunity, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want first of all to thank the Finance Committee for this bill. The reason why we are pushing that we get to know the original and their proposed amendments is so that we appreciate what the committee has done. And for the first time, Honorable Speaker, I want to go on record, say that looking at what the chair said, there has been a consideration in terms of what public participation has actually given to the bill. So we want to appreciate that. The other thing is important, Honorable Speaker, to appreciate is that the 2024 finance bill, which was never successful in terms of passing through the legislative process, Honorable Speaker, had some good clauses. And we did mention that some clauses were very beneficial to Kenyans. I'm happy to inform Kenyans that looking at this bill, there are a few things which have been brought back to this bill, which will be of benefit to the Kenyans. And one of them, Honorable Speaker, is the issue of increasing the amount deductible in the respect of contribution to registered pension or provident funds or individual retirement funds or public pension schemes, Honorable Speaker, from 240 to 360, which means Kenyans have been given a relief from 20,000 shillings per month to 30,000 shillings per month. So if you contribute to a pensionable scheme, Honorable Speaker, you will not be paying tax for 30,000 Kenya shillings per month. That will be tax exempt. That is very important, Honorable Speaker, for the country. The other matter which is very important, Honorable Speaker, and I really want to say, I want to commend the committee for this, because this is one of the matters I was raising in the Parliamentary Pensions Amendment Bill, where we are saying, if you contribute to a post-retirement medical fund, then you also be getting a relief of 15,000 shillings per month, Honorable Speaker. So these are good proposals in terms of pushing Kenyans and making sure that Kenyans have more disposable income, Honorable Speaker. Having said that, Honorable Speaker, there's another important matter which I also want to mention, Honorable Speaker, and it's the issue of removing also tax exemption in relation to this, what we are calling the National Housing Development Fund, Honorable Speaker, so that the money which is being deducted every month, there will also be a relief. But there are three things, Honorable Speaker, I want to say, which might also harm the economy more. One of them, Honorable Speaker, I'm happy that the issue of the infrastructural bonds and the green bonds, issue of taxing them, has been removed from the proposal of the chair. Because, Honorable Speaker, these are some of the alternative sources of financing our development. So once you tax them, it means that you make the cost of development more expensive, and we may not be able to develop as a country. So immediately the chair said they are proposing to drop this proposed tax is very good for the economy, and that's the right direction in terms of growing the economy. The other matter, Honorable Speaker, which is important, is this issue of VAT on issues to do with the with the aircrafts. Honorable Speaker, you know, anytime you increase VAT, and I want to relate this to our tourism sector. Currently, our tourism sector is now picking up in terms of numbers. And what will happen is, if you are to retain this VAT, and I'm happy, Chairman, you have proposed to drop it, what would have happened is, would have meant our visitation to Kenya to be more expensive. And at the end of the day, we've realized that people will have alternatives. And one of the disadvantages we have, as the majority leader said, an elephant in Kenya is the same elephant in Tanzania, is the same elephant in Uganda. So if I can see an elephant in Tanzania at a cheaper cost as compared to Kenya, automatically I'll be tempted to visit Tanzania. And that means then we will be pushing our numbers down by pushing visitors to visit the neighboring countries. So this is another very progressive amendment which the chair has said. The other matter which is important, Honorable Speaker, is the issue of the core tax. And I think really this matter is a matter we need to discuss, as the majority was saying. Because you know, core is a key input in cement production. And immediately you increase taxes to core, then it means automatically cement prices are likely to go up. If cement prices go up, what will happen automatically is you will be now disadvantaging the affordable housing scheme. So these things are very tight, Speaker, and it's important that we get them right. So the proposal to reduce the tax on coal is a positive move in terms of ensuring that we support the affordable housing scheme. Otherwise, if we were to retain the tax, then it will be a problem to the country and will make cement expensive. My last contribution, Honorable Speaker, is the issue of the the railway development levy being increased from 1.5, Honorable Speaker, to 2.5. I note the chair said they are like to move it from 1.5 to 2%, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I will be pleading with the committee to reconsider this increase of railway development levy by anything. Because, Honorable Speaker, this country is so much relied on imported inputs, imported foodstuffs, and immediately you increase this levy, Honorable Speaker, you are increasing the cost of transportation, which will be pushed to the consumer of the final product. So in reality, this particular move is going to impact the economy negatively by increasing the cost of living for almost all the products. So if I was requested, I would say, this is something we need to rethink as a committee, and what will happen is, if you increase the cost of living, Honorable Speaker, with the current situation where disposable income is so low for most of the Kenyans, then we are not going to help this economy. Remember the basics of economics, where we say that for you to grow the economy, you need to trigger more demand for goods, so that people buy more. By buying more, you create room for more production. By room for more production, you create room for more employment, and then you're able to collect more income tax, you're able to collect more VAT, and a number of other taxes. So, Honorable Speaker, this move of increasing the railway development levy is likely to be compared with the move to increase fuel prices. So, Honorable Chair of the committee, with your members, I think really we need to look at how much are we supposed to collect this with this kind of increase, and see whether we could be able to pick that money from another source. Otherwise, this single move can easily negate the whole of this bill. With this many remarks, Honorable Speaker, I want to support and thank the committee for the work well done, and thank the Speaker once more for your consideration to give me the chance to contribute. Thank you very much.
Let's hear the Honorable David Kiplagat on this. Give David a mic.
This is more shorter. Okay.
Proceed. You are also...
Okay, I think it is meant for disability, but all the same, I will proceed. Honorable Speaker, allow me to first of all thank the committee through the Chair for Finance and their members for having worked tirelessly to look for doing public participation, and having worked tirelessly to make sure that what the public says at least is reflected in their report. Allow me also to say that it is very important that as we develop the country, we let the economy, economic aspects of the economy grow. One of it I'm going to focus on is the issue of construction industry, especially housing. Housing is an important pillar to our Kenya Kwanza government and also the broad-based government. It's also one of the better that we are looking at, and it is important that we offer affordable houses to our people. And if you look at the proposal that is clause 25G, that is proposing to increase the cost of ceramic tiles by imposing excise duty of 35% or 300 shillings per kilogram, whichever is higher. I tend to pause there a little bit. That actually goes into negation of providing affordable houses. And I'm going to give an illustration. If we just pick, because as honorable members, through our oversight in NGCDF, we have been trying to improve the learning environment of our kids. And one box of ceramic tiles, that is 30 by 30, usually cost an average of 1,000 shillings.